Good afternoon, y'all. So I woke up at 11 a.m. I took my sweet time, as I sometimes do over the weekend. Got my coffee ready, and it was probably around 11:30. I checked my local news for the weather because it's overcast here, and it's not usually cloudy this time of the year. So I jumped over to my local Bay News 9 and came across this. U.S. captures Venezuela's leader and his wife in stunning operation and plans to prosecute them. So, needless to say, it's going crazy on social media. Tons and tons of posts, way too much to go through. So I just figured I might as well just record a video as I'm going through. I've read very little. All I know so far is that Nicholas Maduro, he's been captured by U.S. forces overnight. They bombed some locations, and Maduro and his wife, they were placed aboard the USS Iwo Jima, bound for New York City, where he's going to stand trial for narco trafficking and other charges. He's apparently going to be held in jail in New York City, and he's going to be tried by the Federal Southern District of New York. Not sure if that's the best place to put him on trial, but that's where it's apparently going to be. So I guess, that's the way it is. And yeah, so there's lots of videos on the ground in Venezuela overnight. Also today, there's apparently a lot of celebrations. Of course, there's a lot of Democrats screaming on social media, completely deranged. At least that's what they appear to be, if I'm being honest. Of course, Nicholas Maduro had a $50 million price tag on his head that the Trump administration had raised. I don't remember the number before. What was it, like 10 million, 15 million that he already had for his capture, and they bumped it up to $50 million. So I honestly did not think that this was going to happen. Not very surprised, because they moved an aircraft carrier just off the coast of Venezuela at least a month or two ago. And then I believe I read somewhere that in the last couple of weeks, they moved a second aircraft carrier into the into the area. So large military presence off the coast of Venezuela. We all know about the narco trafficking vessels that they've been bombing since September. They declassify those videos and they publish them within hours of those strikes. And I show them on my show, The Swamp, which I do Monday through Friday on this channel. I don't think I've missed a single one that they've declassified. I always try to stay on top of that. And now they've moved in. They bombed a bunch of locations in Venezuela, and they captured Nicholas Maduro. So I'm going to just start scrolling through. I haven't prepared anything. I might do a video trying to make a more structured video later this evening, maybe like in the style of The Swamp, where I grab a bunch of posts, a bunch of content, and I lay it out all nice and clean, and then I just go through it from top to bottom. So maybe that's what this video is going to be about. I've got no plans. It's Saturday. This is enormous news. Absolutely crazy. The last time the U.S. government was involved in a leader, at least overthrowing the leader from power, and I could be wrong, but I think it was Omar Gaddafi. I think that might have been the last one that the U.S. was directly involved with. Of course, that was under the Obama administration, and they got a lot of pushback for that, because it would seem that Libya was actually doing pretty well with Gaddafi in power. They had a lot of successful social programs going on. Of course, Hillary Clinton, she was put in a hot seat before Congress and absolutely roasted, and some of her memes came out of that. Also her famous line, what was it? We came, we saw, he died, or some shit like that. That's, and anytime you see Hillary Clinton memes with regard to her resting bitch face, a lot of those come out of that trial, or not trial, the committee hearing, where they had her answering questions for Benghazi and all that. So anyway, I'm just going to start here. This is at the top of the list. So Mayor Zoran Kwame Mamdani, who is now the New York City mayor, he posted this. I was briefed this morning on the U.S. military capture of Venezuelan President Nicholas Maduro and his wife, as well as their planned imprisonment in federal custody right here in New York City. Unilaterally attacking a sovereign nation is an act of war and a violation of federal and international law. Yeah, we'll tell that to Libya and a whole bunch of other countries. This blatant pursuit of regime change doesn't just affect those abroad, it directly impacts New Yorkers, including tens of thousands of Venezuelans who call this city home. My focus is their safety and the safety of every New Yorker. What the fuck does that mean? What are you trying to imply that the Trump administration is just going to start scooping up Venezuelans off the street in New York City? Are you fucking insane? So anyway, my focus is their safety and the safety of New Yorkers, every New Yorker rather. And my administration will continue to monitor the situation and issue relevant guidance. Yeah, we're going to try to gaslight all of the New Yorkers and the New York Venezuelans into believing what we want them to believe. At least that's what I'm getting out of his statement. So I jumped over to Grok and I decided to ask, are Venezuelans in the U.S. celebrating Maduro's capture? And it answers yes. Venezuelans in the U.S., particularly in South Florida's large exile community, which is in Doral and Miami, are widely celebrating Nicholas Maduro's capture by U.S. forces on January 3rd, 2026, today. Reports from outlets like NBC Miami, Local 10, Miami Herald, New York Times, and CBS Miami describe hundreds gathering early in the morning at spots like Al Arapazo restaurant, waving flags, dancing, honking horns, popping champagne, banging pots, crying tears of joy, and chanting liberty and thank you, America. Many express hope for Venezuela's future and gratitude to the U.S. This reflects strong opposition to Maduro among the Venezuelan diaspora in the U.S., who largely fled his regime. Celebrations are also reported among Venezuelans abroad in places like Chile and Spain. So Spain, in particular, that's where the and I'm going to look up his name. He was the guy that ran for president against Maduro back in July of 2024 when the elections were held last time. And of course, it was another a brouhaha of an election. Apparently, Maduro lost by a landslide, but he refused to concede. Well, anyway, his opposition ended up fleeing Venezuela and resettled himself in Spain. So he's currently in exile in Spain. So that doesn't surprise me why that country came up in this answer. So I also asked, because of Mamdani's his claim about Venezuelans living in New York City by the tens of thousands. What about Venezuelans celebrating in New York City? Are there any in New York City celebrating? Yes, Venezuelans in New York City are celebrating Maduro's capture, particularly in Times Square, where crowds gathered to wave flags, sing the national anthem, dance, chant, and express joy and relief. Videos and reports from today show enthusiastic gatherings reflecting the strong anti-Maduro sentiment among the diaspora. NYC has a significant Venezuelan community, tens of thousands, many of whom fled the regime. You hear that, Mamdani? They fled the regime. So, but you got Mamdani over here saying that, oh, well, this blatant pursuit of regime change doesn't just affect those living in Venezuela. It directly impacts New Yorkers, including tens of thousands of Venezuelans. I'm focused on their safety. Trying to imply that these Venezuelans are just absolutely freaking out that the evil orange man Hitler Cheeto would go in and remove or kidnap Maduro, their rightful president. Look, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that Nicholas Maduro is a far leftist. Of course he is. He's a socialist. I mean, they've lived under full-on, basically communism for how long now? Like, what, a decade? Maybe longer than that? Not too well read on Venezuela. I know a little bit about it. I know their currency absolutely collapsed beyond belief. If you take a $50 US $50 bill to Venezuela and exchange it to Venezuelan currency, which is almost impossible to do these days, they'll hand you a trash bag weighing like 40 pounds worth of currency. I mean, that's how unvaluable that the currency is in Venezuela. If you go to a hot dog vendor on the street in Venezuela, you're going to spend almost 30,000 Venezuelan pesos. Is that what it is? Pesos? It almost costs 30,000 to buy a hot dog, and the average Venezuelan only makes about $40,000 a month. So, yeah, needless to say, socialism ain't working too well in Venezuela. All right, so anyway, it finishes up by saying this contrasts with some local officials' criticism of the operation, but the celebrations are visible on the streets. And it looks like it has 23 posts that have connected with the answer by Grok. I'd like to find out, or I'd like to find some videos that are coming out in New York City, to be honest with you. Venezuelans in New York City celebrating the capture of Nicholas Maduro. The only people not happy are his communist buddies on the left. So let's take a look at this. This ought to be interesting.
I'm waiting for this day. It's a special. Thanks, President Trump. Of course.
Again, this is in New York City.
God. This is a special day. I am very excited. I am very happy. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well. What do you have to say about this, Mamdani? Oh, Venezuelans are so heartbroken. They don't look that heartbroken to me. I mean, I don't see any MAGA hats. I don't see any blatant Trump supporters out here. But I'm sure they're praising Trump's move. Anonymous Guy Fawkes mask. That's awesome. That dude was ready. He was ready for this day. Oh, man, yeah, I was going to say, he's tearing up, man. Overcome with emotion. Because the Maduro regime destroyed that country, man. Socialism regime. Used to be the richest country in South America, now it's the poorest. Probably by far the poorest country in South America. I mean, to be fair, I don't see huge crowds of Venezuelans gathering.
No es only Maduro, es a narco dictadura. Es your
again,
wife,
you know,
Celia Flores. I need, we need a Diosdado Cabello, we need a Delcy Rodriguez.
I mean, there's no way that Venezuelans in America haven't heard about this yet. There's just no way. But maybe they're going to organize in a much bigger group later on today. Maybe tomorrow.
Es el día que durante demasiados años en mi vida. Mamá, vamos a regresar. Vamos a regresar, mamita. Gracias. Thanks. Oh, ¿su nombre? My name is Frank.
I'm not sure when this was released. 12:59 p.m. As of this recording, it's currently 3 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. So this, a couple hours ago. I mean, crowds might be much bigger by now. A couple hours later. Okay, so that happened, so I'm going to bookmark that. I'm surprised that got almost no views at all, but Grok picked up on it. Venezuelans in New York City celebrating the capture of Nicholas Maduro. The only people not happy are his communist buddies on the left. I think I already read that, though, didn't I? All right, so let me go back. I'm going to bookmark this, and I'll put those two together. If I decide to do a video tonight, I probably will. Autism Capital. Nike is the real winner today. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, okay, I get it. Because this is the image of Nicholas Maduro. This was the first official image that the U.S. military, U.S. government released of Nicholas Maduro in custody, captured, and obviously he's wearing Nike pants, as you can see down there, where I've got the arrow. How do I do this again? Do I tap Shift twice, or is it Control? Oh, there it is, Control. Right there. That's where it is. And probably in handcuffs. I think that's kind of obvious that he is. And they've got his eyes covered up with, you know, blackout sunglasses, my old man sunglasses. And they're taking him up to New York City. Yeah, absolutely. That is hilarious, man. You're wearing the exact same tracksuit as, I'm not familiar with who that is, but, you know, I'm sure that's at least it's a Nike ad, if anything. All right. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe that's just some famous guy that I'm not aware of. So I don't have this organized by Venezuela news only. This is just my straight up feed. This is just, so not everything I'm going to come across is going to be related to Venezuela, although I'm sure that's probably going to be few and far between at this point. And so my For You tab that I have, it is mostly left wing. It's mostly Democrats. I'm not sure why my X feed is set up this way, but over on my following, it's mostly, you know, right-leaning, conservative, Trump supporters, but not all of it. A lot of it still has Democrat posts on this. But yeah, but my For You tab's got a lot of left-leaning stuff on it, such as Amity, who's angry. This is not what I voted for. Bombing Caracas without a declaration of war is unconstitutional, reckless, and immoral. Congress was bypassed. The people were ignored, and another foreign entanglement was chosen over liberty at home. Well, look, we haven't declared war in Venezuela. President Trump didn't declare war in Venezuela. I'm no constitutional expert, no political expert per se, but I know there's been quite a few administrations in the past that have done the same thing as this, and like Operation Iraqi Freedom, I'm sure that got congressional approval. You know, I'm sure that's not going to be a good example to use. Same with Afghanistan, where we like the U.S. military, boots on the ground, full-on invasion, occupation of the country. Yeah, like when you throw all that in, I'm sure, you know, Congress has to approve that, because now you're talking massive budgets and large-scale military involvement. You know, this is this isn't too dissimilar to what happened in Iran when we bombed their nuclear facilities. The only difference is we didn't capture anybody in that operation. Obama did the same thing, man. Obama, like with the drone strikes, killing American civilians, natural-born American civilians who just happened to be in that area. They bombed and killed them. I want to say his name, but I don't think that's the right name, so I'm just gonna leave that out. But I know the name of the American that Obama killed. But yeah, maybe I don't. I don't know. So anyway, so this is a video of the bombings of the military attack in Venezuela. By the way, there's a lot of AI shit going around. I only found one. They showed B-2s flying around, which was blatant AI. So, you know, we got to be kind of careful with that too. Which I'm sure this isn't AI. I mean, seems legit, right? Of course, the Democrats, they're going to probably have you believe that they're just indiscriminately just bombing innocent targets, people who are just innocent bystanders and all this, when in reality, I'm sure they're bombing very strategic military targets. I'm not sure if Venezuela's Air Force, which Venezuela has had an Air Force since 1947, so they've maintained an Air Force for a long time. I don't know if it's anything like it was, say, 10, 15 years ago, but I know that we have sold fighter jets to them, like F-16s or F-15s. Venezuela has owned those planes before. They've also purchased fighter jets from Russia. So, you know, they at least used to have a functioning or well-organized Air Force. Again, now that it's fallen into the throes of socialism, communism, what have you, maybe probably don't have the operating budget for it like they used to. But I would assume that we were probably bombing sites like that. You know, if they did have any Air Force presence, we probably wanted to knock them out for obvious reasons. I did read there was a U.S. military, I think it was a helicopter, or, well, it was an air vehicle that was damaged, but it wasn't brought down. And apparently a couple of our soldiers were injured, but there were no American casualties during the operation, at least not that we know of. So this is from Breakthrough News 2 hours ago. Breaking: thousands rally in Havana, Cuba, chanting "Down with imperialism" and declaring solidarity with Venezuela and President Maduro. Cuba's president stood at the front of the rally. Well, there you go. You know, you're going to get chants from both sides.
Yo soy Fidel. Yo soy Fidel. Yo soy Fidel. Llega a ser mi bandera algún día. Nuestros muertos alzando los brazos la sabrán defender todavía. ¡Hasta la victoria! ¡Viva el legado de Fidel y de Chávez! ¡Viva el presidente Nicolás Maduro! ¡Abajo el imperialismo!
Yeah, I'm sure Maduro is buddy with the Castros, or it's not Fidel Castro anymore. I can't remember what his name is. The new heir to Cuba. But yeah, you know, you're gonna get both sides. People chanting on this side and on that side, of course. That's of no surprise. Jose R. Guzman, steal his look. All right. Yeah, sleep mask, whatever. Okay. Amy Klobuchar, yes, Maduro is a bad guy, but that's a big but. But the president now says we will run another country of more than 28 million people for an undetermined time. How many American service members will put in harm's way without even a vote in Congress? So, I mean, he is the commander-in-chief of the U.S. military, so I'm sure he does have the authority to do so. I mean, like I said, there's been past presidents who have done operations like this before. Yeah, that is interesting, and I am going to get to that here in a little bit. I do want to look that up. I haven't seen President Trump's official statement. I believe he gave a statement around 11:30 this morning, and he's also put out a couple of Truth Social posts, and I'll see if I can dig those up too. But yeah, I have read that not only from Klobuchar, but I've read that from a couple other posts that Trump says, like he alludes to running the country or occupying it in some way to make sure that there's a clean regime change, or I don't know. I'm not wording it the way he worded it at all, but he basically said that we're going to supervise the next election and make sure that a legitimate leader is put into power. From what I've read, according to the Venezuelan constitution, if the president of Venezuela is absolutely absent, like completely out of the equation completely, as Maduro is at this point, then the vice president assumes command It's some woman. I can't remember her name. It escapes me. I've read a lot of stuff in very quick passing so far today. But she is to assume the presidency, and according to the Constitution, they have to hold an emergency election within 30 days to elect the new president. So is she actually going to uphold that or not? I don't know. Also, there's buzzings about the legitimate winner who fled to Spain being put into power. Not sure how that's going to look, what they're going to end up doing, but Senator Cortez Masto, Nicholas Maduro, is a brutal dictator who deserves no sympathy. But, yeah, see how these Democrats do this? They're like, well, yeah, we acknowledge that he was a bad guy, but then we're going to make like the biggest enormous but ever in the history of the English language. But the Trump administration using American service members to overthrow a foreign leader, it has criminally indicted under U.S. law, sets a dangerous precedent. Dude, like, again, past presidents, they've done this shit too. It also wait, hold on, did I miss anything? Criminally indicted? Oh no, it also contradicts his pardon of former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was prosecuted and convicted of drug trafficking following a nonpartisan federal investigation. Look, I think there's some validity to that. I don't agree that, like, with President Trump doing that, it doesn't make any sense to me why he would pardon someone who was convicted of drug trafficking. I did learn that Juan Orlando Hernandez is a conservative or right-winger or a member of the conservative party in Honduras. I don't think that's nearly good enough to justify freaking pardoning him. Whether if the trial was stacked against him, if the evidence was planted or whatever the case might be, I don't think that really should have been President Trump's or on his radar at all. But he did. He pardoned him. So, I mean, I think she's got a case to be made about that. So anyway, the Constitution is clear. The president doesn't get a free pass to put Americans at risk and ignore the rule of law or democratic norms. President Trump made a dangerous decision to bypass Congress with his actions in Venezuela. And so far, he's offered no real details or on plans for the future other than vague assertion that the United States will be running the country. Which, of course, you really think that Democrats would have supported that? Fuck no, they wouldn't have. No, and I'm not saying that necessarily justifies any president just unilaterally deciding to go after a foreign regime, bypassing Congress because, well, I know Congress isn't going to approve it, so I'm just going to do it anyway. I don't think that's a very good idea. However, like emergency times, we're in these weird times, like where Venezuela is shipping tons and tons of drugs to the United States, finding its way here through these narcoterrorism vessels, which of course they're not going directly from Venezuela straight to the U.S. coastline. They're transporting drugs from Venezuela to a nearby country, basically using it as a jumping off point to eventually get the drugs here to the U.S. And that's what our military has been blown up out of the water, not only in the Caribbean, but also in the Pacific Ocean too in recent months. So, and I'm sure that the U.S. government, we've given Maduro many opportunities and chances to stop what he's doing and probably just kept giving us the middle finger. So, we got rid of him. But yeah, I don't, in my opinion, at least my current opinion, I don't agree with the U.S. military occupying freaking Venezuela. I don't think that's a good idea at all. How they're going to fill this power vacuum, I also don't know. I don't think anybody really knows what's going to happen in the coming days. But we'll have to wait and see. So coming from Mexico, the government of Mexico condemns and strongly rejects the military actions carried out unilaterally in the last few hours by the armed forces of the United States of America. Somebody named Samuel, 8,600 followers. I'm going to take that with an enormous grain of salt because, how do I know that he's not completely full of shit? You know what I mean? That's why whenever I do the swamp, I try to stick to gray badges and not blue badges. The gray check marks, those are the official accounts, and the blue ones could be really anybody. I mean, you only have to pay $8 a month to get the verified badge. So, no links. It'd be nice if he linked something, but nope. So, Mexican government strongly opposing fighting criminals or curbing dictatorships. I mean, yeah, dude, Mexico, like they don't really have, they shouldn't have much to say with all the cartels that are operating in Mexico. Tons of drugs are pouring into the United States annually coming from Mexico. It has been for decades at this point. So, they're not innocent in anything with regard to the drug trade. And if anything, they're among the most guilty. She's lucky we're not scooping her ass up too. Right, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum calls on the United Nations to step in to stop Trump. Says Trump broke Article 2 of the Charter of the United Nations. I stand with Mexico. All right, so run the country, safe transition. How is he supposed to do it there? Or how's he supposed to do it there if he can't do it here? Trump on Venezuela. All right, so let's see what this is. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, judicious transition. I want to find the full one. I don't want to just play clips and clips. Let me see if I can do that right now. See if I can find the full video. Let me do this. Just open up a new tab and search for it here. Under media, probably. A minute. Come on, where's the full one? You know what? Actually, I should have done this. Let me just go to the White House, because they'll post it. White House. October 17th, 11 minutes. An hour. That's 22 seconds. Operation Absolute Resolve. So that's what they were calling the operation, huh? All right, here we go. 57 seconds, 43, 54. All right, looks like this is going to be it. President Trump holds a press conference January 3rd. Let's give this a watch. It's not going to be, well, maybe it'll be 47 minutes. We'll see. Or hour and freaking 45 minutes. All right, where's the sound? What's up with the sound? Is that on my end? Let me just take a quick look. 25. Take these properties. 25. Let's give this a try.
Appreciate you being here.
It was my problem. All right, here we go.
Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault, and it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II.
Well,
maybe. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicholas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones, like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer.
Midnight Hammer.
All perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off.
Oh, my God.
Due to a certain expertise.
I'm telling you, man, our military is straight out of the future, man.
It was dark.
It's crazy.
And it was deadly. But captured,
I still
along
can't
with
believe
his
they
wife,
pulled this off.
Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. It's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narcoterrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved
I think they actually indicted him a while ago. It wasn't in just the last couple of days. I think they indicted him like a year ago, something like that.
You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to...
Yeah, that was pathetic.
The Jimmy Carter days.
13 service members killed.
They were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were
I was going to say, like, they had to know something was about to happen.
What's called a
got
ready
a massive
position,
military presence offshore.
But they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated.
And think of that. We didn't lose a single U.S. soldier. Not one.
You would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that
at least that's the official number.
See it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed.
There you
have it. Not a
it.
single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that. Not one piece of military equipment was lost. Not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far. With capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about.
Well, I can't wait to find out exactly what he plans on doing with that.
For the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind.
Well, look, if they do, we'll just go and capture them too.
Decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place.
Sorry,
as everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually.
Wow.
This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America,
freak out the Democrats for sure.
Everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe.
Used to be the richest country in South America, man.
The many, many people.
Largest oil reserves on the planet.
Venezuela that are living in the United States, extremely happy. They suffered.
So much oil, they used to get free gas.
So much was taken from
Technically,
them.
they still do,
They're
but
not
they're all empty.
Anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas.
That's right, de las
which
Solas.
flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans. Hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship. They'll be heading to, ultimately, New York, and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For
Absolutely.
many years after his term as president of Venezuela.
By the way,
Maduro
off screen, I pulled up the election results from 2024. We'll have a look at that in a minute.
Violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people,
Maduro lost by a lot.
of the
Spoiler.
entire region.
Well, not so much a spoiler. We already know that.
Trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over, in particular, the United States. Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang, Tren de Aragua.
Yep, Tren de
to
Aragua.
terrorize American communities nationwide, and he did indeed.
Yeah, he emptied out the prisons and sent them up here under the Biden administration.
Complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal, but they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete, and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C.
Yep, this is why the Democrats hate Trump so much. He's very effective.
Terrorist attack.
And what he's doing is working.
A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't
good
had
old-fashioned law and order.
A long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have two, on average, 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're walking their daughters. They're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military. And I want to thank law enforcement. Been amazing.
Come on, White House. Up
and
this
they should
quality.
do it with more cities.
There we go.
We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%.
All right, don't go too far off topic.
The governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana, and we have done that. And it was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing. And we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped,
Operation something Crunch.
Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster, and the mayor was a disaster. But it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there when they need us. We'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job.
Come on, we're going to literally lose Los Angeles.
Okay, it doesn't matter. We don't need
the Democrats are going to be dogpiling on that statement.
But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country.
Yep. They manipulated the statistics, too, to make it appear as though it wasn't that bad.
Tortured and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren de Aragua. And they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people, and now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years, I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were so heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst, they say the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungary, what happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren de Aragua animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails. The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons a little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got them both. They sent from their mental institutions. They sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers. They were drug kingpins. They sent everybody bad into the United States, but no longer. And we have now a border where nobody gets through. In addition, Venezuela unilaterally seized and stole American oil, American assets, and American platforms, costing us billions and billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it. They took all of our property. It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill, and the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, and we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people or drive us back into and out of our own hemisphere. That's what they did. Furthermore, under the now deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. Potentially in league with the cartels operating along our border. All of these actions were in gross violation of the core principles of American foreign policy, dating back more than 2 centuries, and not anymore. All the way back, it dated to the Monroe Doctrines, and the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal, but we've superseded it by a lot, by a real lot. They now call it the Monroe Document. I don't know. It's Monroe Doctrine. We sort of forgot about it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again. Won't happen. So just in concluding, for decades, other administrations have neglected or even contributed to these growing security threats in the Western Hemisphere. Under the Trump administration, we are reasserting American power in a very powerful way in our home region. And our home region is very different than it was just a short while ago. The future will be, and we did this in my first term. We had great dominance in my first term, and we have far greater dominance right now. Everyone's coming back to us. The future will be determined by the ability to protect commerce and territory and resources that are core to national security. These are core to our national security. Just like tariffs they've made our country rich, and they've made our national security stronger than ever before. But these are the iron laws that have always determined global power, and we're going to keep it that way. We will secure our borders. We will stop the terrorists. We will crash the cartels, and we will defend our citizens against all threats, foreign and domestic. Other presidents may have lacked the courage or whatever to defend America, but I will never allow terrorists and criminals to operate with impunity against the United States. This extremely successful operation should serve as warning to anyone who would threaten American sovereignty or endanger American lives. Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect. The American Armada remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied. All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them, and it will happen to them if they aren't just, fair, even to their people. The dictator and terrorist, Maduro, is finally gone, and Venezuela people are free. They're free again. It's been a long time for them, but they're free. America is a safer nation this morning. It's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raisin Kane. He's a fantastic man. I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks on sovereignty. I mean, it was an attack for justice. And I'm very proud of him, and I'm very proud of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who I'm going to ask to say a few words. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I think I'll cut it there, and I'll repost this if you want to have a look at that, or you can just go straight to at the White House. Posted 3 hours ago at 11:38 a.m. And while he was given that speech, I pulled this up from Wikipedia. The 2024 Venezuelan presidential election. So I'm going to go over here to these numbers. The popular vote, the percentage. So Edmundo Gonzalez was the opposition and appears to be the one who won by a landslide. And looks like the numbers that they've at least highlighted in bold, I'm assuming that these are maybe possibly like the final numbers. And of course, 7.4 million for the opponent, independent party, and then Nicholas Maduro, 6.4 million. Looks like the opposition got 68.74%, and Maduro got 51.95%. Again, this is on Wikipedia. So left-leaning Wikipedia. And that's the numbers that they are reporting at least. So it doesn't look to me like he at least got the popular vote, or even by a percentage. He was off by quite a bit. 68.74 against 30.46%, and then this other one, I don't know if it's just a different party or a different voting block. I'm not sure how their politics work in Venezuela. 43.18, 51.95. So anyway, but that's the numbers that they got, and the turnout 57.9 for CNE, 67 or 60% even for VZLA, I'm assuming Venezuela maybe. And I'll link that below if you want to look at that on Wikipedia. And also, the Nobel Prize winner. You remember the Nobel Prize winner from 2025? She's Venezuelan. And she chimed in on what's going on with Maduro being removed from power by the U.S. Military. And she's Maria Corina Machado, by the way. And she published this letter, which I have in one of these tabs up here that's been translated into English. But she says, Venezuelans, the hour of freedom has arrived. And before that, 4 hours ago, or actually in the same post, looks like she replied with this, Venezuelans, and looks like a video. I'm assuming it's all going to be in Spanish, but I'll at least take a look at it.
Venezolanos, llegó la hora de la libertad. Nicholas Maduro.
All right, is the whole thing? I figured it would have been an actual video. Okay, I don't know Spanish, so it's kind of useless to me, at least, to listen to that. So, but anyway, if you want to check out her profile, Maria Corina Machado at Maria Corina YA. That's her handle over on the X platform. As far as I know, you can go to x.com, and I don't think you have to be signed in to navigate around it. I don't think so. So if you don't have an X account, I think you can still at least browse around. So I've got this from the Daily Mail. Female Nobel Peace Prize winner who's set to become Venezuela's new president after Maduro was captured by Trump. And Daily Mail, I don't usually like looking at Daily Mail. For the most part, it's kind of a tabloid of sorts, but Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Corina Machado will likely be the next president of Venezuela following Nicholas Maduro's capture by the United States. Opposition leaders Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez could be next in line to succeed in the South American country, according to a Caracas expert. Machado, the leader of the center-right liberal Vente Venezuela opposition party, took to X following the military invasion. Venezuelans, the hour of freedom has arrived. Machado praised the U.S. for fulfilling a promise to enforce the law, given Maduro's refusal to exit office after it was widely accepted that he had lost the election. And I remember when they announced that she won the Nobel Prize, that lots of Democrats were praising her for winning, and she did a fantastic job standing up for Venezuela. Absolutely amazing, magnificent human being. And I think a lot of that had to do with because Trump was being strongly considered for winning the Nobel Prize, and Democrats were just, I think, more, if anything, they were celebrating more the fact that he didn't win the Nobel Prize. But still, they were praising her by far and large. They were praising Maria Corina Machado. That's Maria Corina Machado right there on December 11th of 2025 in Oslo. And I've got this Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, releases letter after Maduro's capture. And this is on CBS News. So she released a letter addressing the Venezuelan people after leader Nicholas Maduro and his wife were captured in a U.S. operation overnight Saturday. Machado, an opposition leader who has mostly been in hiding over the last year, said Maduro will face international justice for the atrocious crimes committed against Venezuelans and citizens, and against citizens of many other nations. The time for freedom has come, Machado, who was awarded the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize, wrote in a letter posted on X. It was not clear on Saturday if Machado, who escaped to Norway in a secret mission last month, was in Venezuela. She told CBS News in mid-December that she was absolutely supportive of President Trump's increasing military pressure on the Maduro regime and said she would welcome more and more pressure so that Maduro understands that he needs to go. And, okay, so we can read the full text of the letter translated. Okay, so yeah, we will take a look at this. Let me just resize this a little better. All right, Maria Corina Machado's letter to Venezuelans. Venezuelans, the time for freedom has come. Nicholas Maduro from today will face international justice for the atrocious crimes committed against Venezuelans and against citizens of many other nations. Given his refusal to accept a negotiated solution, the United States government has fulfilled its promise to enforce the law. The time has come for popular sovereignty and national sovereignty to prevail in our country. We're going to restore order, release the political prisoners, build an exceptional country, and bring our children back home. We have fought for years. We have given it our all, and it has been worth it. What was meant to happen is happening. This is the hour of the citizens, those of us who risked everything for democracy on June 28th. I thought the election was on July 28th of 2024, but anyway, those of us who elected Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia as the legitimate president of Venezuela, who must immediately assume his constitutional mandate and be recognized as commander-in-chief of the National Armed Forces by all the officers and soldiers who comprise it. Today, we are ready to assert our mandate and take power. Let us remain vigilant, active, and organized until the democratic transition is complete, a transition that needs all of us. And a quick comment, it makes me wonder, what is the military thinking about this? Obviously, they've been supporting Maduro for years at this point. I'm assuming that a lot of them are quite paranoid that they might be put on trial for supporting Maduro, especially after the election revealed that he was not the legitimate winner, but the military kept backing him anyway. So it'll be interesting to see like how they're, are they going to just allow it to happen? The peaceful transition of power to the rightful president of Venezuela. Not so sure. We'll just have to see that play out. To the Venezuelans who are currently in our country, be ready to put into action what we will be communicating to you very soon through our official channels. To Venezuelans abroad, we need you to be mobilized, engaging the governments and citizens of the world and committing them from now on to the great operation of building the new Venezuela. In these crucial hours, receive all my strength, my confidence, and my affection. We remain vigilant and in contact. Venezuela will be free. We go hand in hand with God until the end. So that was her official letter, which was this letter that she had posted, translated into English. This is from the New York Post. Venezuelan opposition leader, 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Corina Machado, poised to take the place of Nicholas Maduro. And so I'm just illustrating the fact that the mainstream media, they're all pretty much unified, left and right, in their assumption or their belief that Maria Corina Machado may end up becoming the president of Venezuela. So Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado said she and fellow candidate Edmundo Gonzalez were poised to lead the country now that the hour of freedom has arrived. But President Trump said ousted dictator Nicholas Maduro, second in command, could take the job and make the embattled nation great again. I don't know. We'll have to see. Machado and Gonzalez, whose 2024 victory against Maduro was ignored by the dictator, are vying to immediately lead the transitional government in the South American country. Today, we are prepared to enforce our mandate and take power, Machado said in her first public comments on Saturday. And we are going to restore order, release the political prisoners, build an exceptional country, and bring our children back home. But President Trump surprisingly said during his press conference Saturday that Machado doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country to become its next leader. That's interesting. He indicated that spoke with Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, who is to assume power after Maduro's arrest as per the Venezuelan constitution, and that she reassured her willingness to do what's necessary to make Venezuela great again. Yeah, Delcy Rodriguez, the current vice president of Venezuela, is a woman. So, don't get confused where it says like that she reassured her willingness. They're not talking about Maria Corina Machado. They're talking about the vice president, Delcy Rodriguez. And let's see, Rodriguez reportedly fled to Russia, but the country's foreign ministry denied she was there. Trump declared that the U.S. would now take over running Venezuela after strongman Nicolas Maduro was captured in the dead of night. We're going to run the country until such time we could do a safe, proper, and judicious transition, Trump said at a press conference at Mar-a-Lago. And we're going to run it essentially through the transition, he said. Earlier in the day, the president said the U.S. guidance would be to prevent another dictator from taking over where he left. Experts, however, theorize that Machado and her movement are best poised for the takeover. They have the support of 70% of Venezuelans. Jorge Grisati, president of the Economic Inclusion Group, told Fox they would lead this transition period. The U.S. previously recognized Gonzalez as the country's legitimate leader after he defeated Maduro by a more than 2-to-1 margin in the 2024 election. Gonzalez ran in place of Machado after she was banned from running by the Maduro-run High Court. Maduro ignored the election results and remained in power. So that was a question that I had. Like, well, if she's poised to be the next leader of Venezuela, I mean, look, like on Wikipedia, that ain't her. That's Edmundo Gonzalez. So he ran on her behalf. That's what they're saying, at least. So Machado celebrated Maduro's capture on Saturday. And, of course, that's Nicolas Maduro. Let's see. The time has come for popular sovereignty and national sovereignty to govern our country. We will restore order, free the political prisoners, build an exceptional country, and bring our children back home. Of course, we already read that. We have fought for years. We have given everything, and it has been worth it. What had to happen is happening. Machado, who won the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize for her political advocacy, thanked the U.S. for fulfilling its promise to uphold the law. I mean, not with any help from Democrats. Democrats are condemning it. Of course, they're probably, if they're not already saying it, they're probably already threatening to impeach President Trump for doing what he did. The opposition leader has been a strong ally of President Trump's, the most recently publicly lauding his recent seizure of a vessel transporting oil out of her home country as part of his plan to oust Maduro. She even dedicated her Nobel Peace Prize to Trump after being named the 2025 winner in October. Machado was picked for the award for her efforts to advance democracy in the face of ever-expanding authoritarianism in Venezuela, despite serious threats to her life. She's been in hiding since the summer of 2024 when Maduro claimed victory for his third term in a highly contested election. In the months before Maduro's arrest, Machado indicated that her movement was prepared to take territorial and administrative control of Venezuela. All right, so that's all that I have as far as that goes. Go ahead and minimize that, and we'll head back to... Actually, no, I got it over here. So this was the feed that I was going through. I think we already went through that. Elon Musk, that's not easy. Babylon B, that's not related to Venezuela, even though I'm sure this is hilarious. Mamdani dethrones Gavin Newsom as U-Haul's top salesman. Yeah, that's hilarious. Ed Krasenstein, Trump is now saying the U.S. will have boots on the ground in Venezuela. Well, he didn't literally say that. He's just taking it that way. After we arrested Maduro, and that we will be taking a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground in the form of oil as we run the country. I don't know if he said that verbatim. Maybe he did. He's got it in quotes. How can anyone be okay with this? MAGA, are you really okay with this? Okay. Okay, here we go. Eric Swallowswell. Now, do the convicted felon living at the White House, J.D. Vance, 7 hours ago, in public service announcement for everyone saying this was illegal. Maduro has multiple indictments in the United States for narcoterrorism. You don't get to avoid justice for drug trafficking in the United States because you live in a palace in Caracas. Yep, there you go. And that's his reward poster, increase of up to $50 million USD for information leading to the arrest and or conviction of the leader of the specially designated global terrorist cartel de las Soles, Nicholas Maduro Moros. And rolling on to the next, Chris Murphy. Again, these are going to be a lot of Democrat posts. Laughable. There are, well, okay, yeah, so he's responding to J.D. Vance. There are people with warrants all over the world. Can you invade all those countries without coming to Congress? If carrying out an arrest requires the full-scale invasion of a foreign nation, of course you need to get congressional authorization. I mean, look, with as polarized as we are in Congress these days, one of the big problems that would have to do with Congress being involved in military operations are rampant leaks. Because you know Democrats are going to leak like a sieve. They're going to constantly be leaking stuff out. And that's a threat to national security, essentially. Not saying that that in no way, shape, or form they should get congressional approval on anything. And again, I'm no political or constitutional expert. So there's probably somewhere, whether if it's in the federal code or if it's in the Constitution itself, probably authorizes the president to do military operations without congressional approval. Because, like I said, Obama did it. I'm sure George W. Bush did it. Probably Bill Clinton did it. Sure, all kinds of presidents probably did. Just very similar to what Trump did. I mean, I guess I could actually look that up to see if Benghazi, if they got approval for that. Yeah, I'm sure I didn't spell that right. Oh, okay, I just didn't capitalize it. All right, short. Give me the short answer. Let's see if Congress approved it. Is it going to be a yes? No. Hey, look at this. No, Congress did not approve the 2011 U.S. military intervention in Libya. Operation Odyssey Dawn, aimed at preventing a massacre in Benghazi and enforcing a UN no-fly zone. President Obama authorized the action unilaterally, citing his constitutional authority as commander-in-chief and reliance on UN Security Council Resolution 1973. The administration argued it did not require congressional authorization because the operations were limited in scope and did not constitute hostilities under the War Powers Resolution. Congress rejected proposed authorizations. The House rejected a joint resolution in June of 2011. They passed non-binding rebukes demanding withdrawal or explanations and never provided statutory approval. The intervention proceeded without it. Were boots on the ground in Libya, which I believe they were, even though it was a long time ago, so maybe I'm not remembering correctly, but I think they had boots on the ground in Libya. Let's see what it comes up with. Oh, no, it didn't. Okay, well, then I stand corrected. The 2011 NATO-led intervention in Libya involved no conventional U.S. ground troops or boots on the ground in a combat or occupation role. And President Obama explicitly ruled this out, and officials like Defense Secretary Robert Gates confirmed no U.S. military ground forces were deployed. The campaign relied on air naval strikes, cruise missiles, and drones. However, a small number of CIA operatives and possibly allied special forces British and French were on the ground for intelligence, liaison with rebels, and targeting support. No large-scale U.S. troop presence occurred. NATO stated no troops under its command were deployed on the ground. So yeah, as I already said, what Trump did, it's not new. There's been past presidents who have done this, and the intervention in Libya in 2011, Benghazi, is a perfect example to illustrate that, Trump did basically the exact same thing that Obama did, really. Well, actually, unlike what Trump did with Nicholas Maduro, they killed Omar Gaddafi. They gunned him down or whatever they did. He didn't survive it. I know he's dead as a result of what happened in Benghazi. So, at least Trump, spared Nicholas Maduro of that end, and he's going to stand trial. Probably exactly what Omar Gaddafi probably should have done too. And stood trial for whatever it was that the Obama regime was accusing him of doing. Again, not knowledgeable specifically on that. Whether if he was overall a good person in power or a bad guy, I don't know. I've heard good things. Can't really say that I've heard a lot of bad things, but that was back when I was, politically ignorant. I didn't pay attention to politics way back then. So Rep. James Walkinshaw, I'm not sure why he doesn't have the gray badge. Americans want a president obsessed with lowering healthcare costs. Oh, okay, yeah, whatever. So... Oh, okay, so it's kind of related to Venezuela, and not a president so obsessed with one dictator that he's willing to violate the Constitution and put American lives at risk. Oops. Oh, yeah, that's all right. I'm not on my phone. Can't just simply hit enter and send it. All right, whatever. I'm going to try to not to do that. I've got a bad habit of doing that, so I'm going to try not to reply to these, even though it's very tempting sometimes. Thomas Masse is going nuclear on Trump's regime change war in Venezuela. How did it work out in Cuba, Libya, Iraq, or Syria? Do we want another Afghanistan in the Western Hemisphere? This is about oil and regime change. Previous administrations told us to go to war over WMDs, weapons of mass destruction. That did not exist. And it goes on, so on and so on. So I think I'll give that a play. Yeah, but it's not only about that. It's about the ongoing war on drugs, trying to stop the war on drugs. Now, is that just another form of propaganda? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't think that anybody's going to contest the fact that Venezuela is involved in the drug trade, and a lot of drugs are coming out of it because all these narcoterrorism vessels, the drug traffickers that are trafficking drugs, they are leaving Venezuela, and they're traveling to a nearby country to transport drugs to eventually reach American shores. But anyway, let's give this a play.
Mr. Speaker, James Madison warned us that in no part of the Constitution is more wisdom to be found than in the clause which confides the question of war and peace to the legislature and not the executive. Madison called it the crown jewel of Congress. The framers understood a simple truth. To the extent that war-making power devolves to one person, liberty dissolves. If the president believes military...
Well, look, I'm kind of politically ignorant to some extent. Then why do they give the executive branch the power to assume command over the military then, if that's the case?
Action against Venezuela is justified and needed.
Why not Congress?
Make the case, and Congress should vote before American lives and treasure are spent on regime change in South America. Let's be honest about likely outcomes. Do we truly believe that Nicholas Maduro will be replaced by a modern-day George Washington? How did that work out?
I don't think anybody's saying that, dude.
In Cuba, Libya,
that's a little hyperbolic.
Iraq, or Syria. Previous presidents told us to go to war over WMDs, weapons of mass destruction, that did not exist. Now it's the same playbook, except we're told that drugs are the WMDs. If it were about drugs, we'd bomb Mexico or China.
No, not necessarily, dude. They're not manufacturing. Look, they are manufacturing drugs in Mexico for sure. And there's an argument to be made there too. A lot of people have argued for decades that we should have had some military presence in Mexico to stop the war on drugs because so much of it's coming across the southern border. And, Venezuela, I don't think they're growing cocaine or the coca plant. I think a lot of that's happening in Colombia. But, from what I've learned, that Venezuela is playing a pretty large part in the drug trade, especially in recent years under Maduro.
Or Colombia. And the president would not have pardoned Juan
fine, we'll take them too.
Hernandez. This is about oil and regime change. And when it comes to regime change, we've already been down this road.
I'm sure oil is playing a part of it, sure.
Nothing to show for it.
Largest oil reserves in the world.
In 2019, we recognized Juan Guaido. We seized their embassy here in D.C. We were told that regime change was imminent. Years later, Maduro remains in power.
You gonna bring up Benghazi? Why not bring up Benghazi, dude?
Our hopes and other exiled figures.
Sounds a little rhino.
Gonzalez and Maria
Smells like a rhino to me.
Machado. I wish them well, I do. But Congress should not express moral sympathy in the form of a blank check for military escalation and American lives. And let's take a moment to acknowledge the contradiction at the heart of this policy. This administration tells us that the Maduro regime is made up of narco-terrorists, and by escalating toward war, we would predictably create countless refugees. At the same time, this administration has moved to end temporary...
Yeah, but isn't Venezuela already desperately poor? Aren't a lot of them impoverished, and a sizable percentage of Venezuela are considered to be like starving or near starving? I think they've already created that situation, dude, under Maduro. How many millions of Venezuelans have already fled the country? I'm pretty sure it's in the millions. Like many millions have fled the country into neighboring countries, and also a lot of the caravans that came up during the Biden administration, I'm sure a lot of them were Venezuelans trying to escape the country.
Protected status for hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans and deports them back to the very regime it condemns. So which is it?
Well, that's why we're getting rid of Maduro, dude. So now that Maduro's out of the way, and if we can get a better person to lead the country, someone who's going to carry the name of democracy or whatever it is that they're going to plan on doing, making Venezuela a prosperous country once again, then there should be no problem in deporting them back to Venezuela.
Are we prepared to receive swarms of the 25 million Venezuelans who will likely become...
No, dude, we already did. That already happened.
American treasure
it's already been happening for years.
And inevitably rebuild that nation? Do we want a miniature Afghanistan in the Western Hemisphere? If that cost is acceptable to this Congress, then we should vote on it as a voice of the people and in accordance with our Constitution. And yet today, here we aren't even voting on whether to declare war or authorize the use of military force. All we're voting on is a war powers resolution that strengthens the fabric of our republic by reasserting the plain and simple language in the Constitution that Congress must decide questions of war. I urge support for this resolution, and I yield back.
Yeah, but the problem is, though, dude, we didn't declare war against the country of Venezuela. I think that's probably where the wires are getting crossed as far as that goes, but... Anyway, here, I'll probably bookmark that. Maybe I'll bring that up later. BRICS news. Just in, Russia calls for the United States to release Nicholas Maduro. That's quite interesting. I mean, that's not very surprising, though, either, because doesn't Russia back Iran and, the other BRICS nations? So that's from BRICS news, of course. Go ahead and grab that one, too. Jonathan Turley, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum is asserted. Okay, we already heard about that. Asserted violates Article 2 of the UN Charter. Let's see. This is insane. I've heard this exact reckless nonsense before. What's he talking about? Breaking. We are going to run the country. See, I knew it. As soon as Trump said that, of course, the Democrats are going to be jumping all over that statement. Oh my God, the military is going to move in. Look, if they do put boots on the ground and they occupy the country of Venezuela, that probably is something that I would assume that the president can't unilaterally do. That would probably have to be an act of Congress, which would probably explain why boots did not touch the ground. Instead, they kind of did, though, didn't they? They would have had to put boots on the ground, at least a few of them, to capture Maduro. They didn't just throw a grappling hook into his room and just hooked him and just yanked him right out of his presidential palace, swinging around in the air as they're cranking him up into the helicopter. So I'm sure that they had to put somebody on the ground to get him. Let's see. All right, so let's go back. Anyway, finishing this off. It took us into Iraq, got people I served with killed, and we're paying the price. Congress knows damn well where this leads. Congresswoman Hillary Scholten, my statement on President Trump's strikes on Caracas. Yeah, we know he's bad, he's Cheeto Hitler, he's the worst man ever. We got to set him free. Let Maduro do what he does best. No, I don't know if that's really what she said, but I'll read it. I'm actively monitoring the situation in Venezuela and impact on travel in the region. If you're traveling abroad, I encourage you to stay informed by checking the U.S. Department of State's travel advisories and by registering with U.S. Embassy at your destination. If you need additional guidance, my office is available to assist. Okay, well, I'll take back everything I said about her because she didn't say anything like that. She's just advising people if they're traveling to Venezuela, be careful. All right, Jeremy Corbyn, the U.S. has launched an unprovoked and illegal attack on Venezuela. This is a brazen attempt to secure control over Venezuelan natural resources. This is an act of war that puts the lives of millions of people at risk. It should be condemned by anyone who believes in sovereignty and international law. Look, if they were to hold a vote in Venezuela, just straight up, Do you agree with the actions taken by the Trump administration? Yes or no? I mean, what do you think the majority of Venezuela would agree with? Or would they go, yes, they agree, or no, they don't agree? I mean, I think the answer to that would probably be pretty clear. Venezuela is the largest oil reserves in the world. That they do. Trump's attack on Venezuela is naked imperialism. Blood for oil. Except nobody was killed. I don't think a single person was killed during that operation. So, WTF are you talking about? And let's see, Stephen King. I don't give a shit about Stephen King. Coca Tem Blanca Mood. There you go. Adam Shifty Shift. He launched this war to remove a foreign leader, and now he claims the U.S. war will run the country. In other words, Donald Trump wants the U.S. to be an occupying power and control the oil. All right, so should I jump out of this list? Probably should jump over here and just see what we got. There's probably going to be more video clips over here under the following tab. Let's see. And again, it's not all going to be related to Venezuela. This is just my straight up feed. Venezuela Patriot is going off on the media for calling Trump's Maduro capture regime change when the voters already voted him out, but he seized power. That's a valid point now, isn't it? He stole the election. He is grateful for Trump and slamming the Maduro flunkies. All right, I guess we'll give that a play. I guess.
This is a message for my American friends watching the news today in English. There is a serious inaccuracy in the coverage. Venezuela is not undergoing a regime change. Venezuela already has a democratically elected president, Edmundo Gonzalez. He is the president. Nicholas Maduro is not the president. He never was. He stole the last election and led a criminal organization
and probably one before that
to terrorism and drug trafficking, El Cartel de los Soles. And today, thanks to the vision and courage of the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, the decisive leadership of the President Donald Trump, and the actions of Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, the United States has finally recognized a fundamental truth. Protecting our hemisphere from terrorism, drug cartels, and authoritarian ideologies is a matter of national security for the United States.
Well, amen. I agree to that. And to Thomas Masse, when he's bringing up, well, what about Colombia? What about Mexico? Okay, fine. You know what? Maybe we'll have to go take them out too. As far as the cartels, I mean, we should have been, wiping out the cartels for forever, probably since I was born. For the Democrats and the rhino establishment Republicans, we don't want dangerous drugs in our country anymore. We've been dealing with this shit for decades, since before I was born in the 1980s. So, anyway, Daily Wire, Maduro found out. 48 seconds. I guess I'll get that a play.
He's made the point that Maduro is culturally conservative.
Who gives a shit?
Oh, whatever. All right. I'm not interested in that. As feel good as that might be for, conservatives and so on. All right. Congratulations to the president for overthrowing the Venezuelan regime. Okay. There are 500,000 Venezuelans in the U.S. illegally, fifth largest unauthorized migrant group of the country, and now they can all leave today. Like I said, man, a lot of them, they fled Venezuela, especially during the Biden administration. And all those caravans you were looking at, a sizable percentage of them were Venezuelans. All right, AG Pambandi does her job. Jack Smith is going to federal prison for a decade. Uh-oh. Jack Smith withheld names of GOP lawmakers from judges who granted from 8 hours ago. See, that's going to be the issue with the situation with capturing Maduro, is that there's going to be a lot of other news articles and happenings in the federal machine that might be overlooked. So I got to keep my eye out for that too, because I do the Swamp Monday through Friday. I don't just stick to one single topic, even though it might seem that way over the last week because all this ongoing Minnesota fraud situation that's been getting just blown out wide out into the open. And that seems like that's all I've been talking about for the last week. But, it's very relevant. It's very relevant, man. They've stolen at least $9 billion taxpayer dollars, probably way more than that. All right, Eric Doherty just in. Venezuelans are literally crying tears of joy, all because President Trump captured Maduro. We want to thank God for his miracle. Thank you, United States. Long live Venezuela. Venezuela is great, and it will be resurrected among the ashes. Yeah, we'll give this a play. It's in Spanish again. Of course, yeah, obviously a lot of this is going to be in Spanish.
A Venezuela, quería conocer a Venezuela, nació en España, pero quería conocer a nuestra Venezuela, esa Venezuela bonita. Mis hijos vuelven nuevamente a su país. Gracias Dios por tu maravilla, gracias por tu milagro, gracias por ser bueno con nosotros, hermanos venezolanos. Espero que hayamos aprendido la lección, que seamos más humildes, que seamos más personas, que seamos más hermanos.
Okay, so yeah, some of the quotes translated. Thank you, United States. Long live Venezuela. Venezuela's great will be resurrected among the ashes. 41,000 likes. 6.4 million people saw that. John Piper. Okay, so that's just a quote from the Bible. Were you surprised by Operation Absolute Resolve? I was. None of us outside the Pentagon had even the slightest idea this would happen. No leaks, no rumors, airtight OPSEC, OPSEC. How is that possible? Because no one told Democrat senators and representatives about it in advance. Yeah, see, and that's the problem. That's the problem with our hyperpolarization these days. That this was necessary. This, frankly, should have happened years ago. What, the second election in Venezuela, was it back in 2018, I think it might have been? I mean, look, this should have all been handled years ago, and it wasn't. And look, I know there is, of course, the argument that should the United States be the world police? Should the United States be involved in other countries' affairs, even if there's a dictatorship takeover? I know that's I guess some philosophical question of sorts. But you know, it's affecting the U.S. directly if the whole narrative on the drug empire that Maduro was overseeing is actually taking place, and it's ultimately leading to countless thousands of Americans dying. Then yeah, I think that we should get involved if that's the case. Exhorter, breaking Venezuelan dictator Nicholas Maduro is now approaching United States airspace aboard a DOJ Boeing 757. Okay, so they're not taking the ship all the way up. Turns out they're flying him up there. The DOJ picked him up after being transferred to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Oh yeah. Maduro's about to move into his new home inside an American jail cell. Probably going to be very heavily guarded. And so yeah, that's the details of the plane, supposedly. Let's see. Pat Condell, maybe a few people in America sweating right now over what Maduro might reveal about the stolen 2020 presidential election. You know, I actually, I was talking to somebody earlier before I started recording, and I was thinking, you know, like, they're going to interrogate him. They're going to be questioning him for God knows how long. Can he exercise his right to an attorney? Maybe, probably. Not sure the details on that. But I'm sure that they're going to be eager to get information out of him. You know, who is he connected with? And also, in a roundabout way, anonymous donations and what have you. Was there any amount of money that originated in Venezuela under the Maduro regime that went into the pockets of American politicians and their campaigns? I don't know. Maybe that's what he's alluding to with the old 2020 election. So let's see. That's not going to be related. Take a photograph of your blood work, the page, upload it from your phone to Grok. It will understand what all the data results are and tell you if there's something wrong. Oh, wow, that's crazy. I haven't seen it wrong yet. That's kind of wild. I mean, I have plugged stuff into Grok before. So when I first started doing my show, The Swamp, I was having a lot of microphone issues. I threw the kitchen sink at it. I got a second mixer. I got a second microphone. I had a Wi-Fi router that was like 10 feet from my desk. I even moved that into another room. I even bought a whole new freaking computer. I bought a new PC because I thought like my computer was causing issues because there was like background like noise, static happening, and I did everything. I got new XLR cables. I tried the USB cable. I tried different USB ports. I installed a whole new USB port into my old computer. And anyway, long story short, I figured out the problem, but Grok helped me figure out the problem because in OBS, you can actually go into the settings and it has like this long page of just random settings, just technical jargon. That's like a mile long list of how all of your settings are operating in OBS. And Grok told me to copy that page and paste it into Grok. And it analyzed all of that. And like within 2 seconds, it said for me to try this, try that, try that. And anyway, you know, the point being is that I got it fixed thanks to Grok. So that was actually pretty incredible. So yeah, you could plug in raw data and information into Grok and it can analyze it and, you know, spit out some answers and results for you, which is kind of cool, man. All right. Anyway, Yeah, and plus AI, it has the capability of writing code, programming language code, and stuff like that. You know, you could simply tell it to write something, and it'll spit out all this code for you, so you don't have to type it all out yourself. All right, so Americans have to realize, for the people of Venezuela, this is like the fall of the Berlin Wall. Many of them had their family members slaughtered by the socialist Maduro regime, and now it's finally over. A new era of history has begun in the Western Hemisphere. I did come across a video, and with this being the X platform, freedom of speech, and so on, I came across a video of peaceful protesters in Venezuela following the election in 2024 that were gathered, and the military under Maduro, they had these large Bearcats, these large armored vehicles, and one of them plowed into the crowd and ran over what seemed to be like 50 people, just mowed them down. Absolutely insane, man. And they were just out there just protesting. I mean, they weren't throwing Molotov cocktails. They weren't being violent, at least not that it appeared in the video, at least. So, of course, I can't play that here on YouTube. Let's see. He is not President Maduro. He lost badly. Wasn't even close. Then he used his cartel army to violently take power. And you liberals are on social media doing everything but sucking him off from the back. Results, national results, and Edmundo Gonzalez, 7.086 million votes. Nicholas Maduro, 3.2 million votes. 67% to 30%. So, yeah, he obviously lost. So, like the dude in the video mentioned, he made a pretty good point. This isn't a regime change. This is just an official installation of the rightful president who won the election. I mean, the United States forcefully removed the person who was not the president of Venezuela, and hopefully that'll make it fairly straightforward and simple to put the rightful president back in. Even though, I don't know, man, I guess it's going to have to depend on the military at large in Venezuela, who they're going to hold their allegiance to. I mean, are they going to, pluck somebody out of the ranks, or are they going to, I'm sure that Maduro already had like a plan B, C, D, E, F, G. If I'm captured, I want you to do this and do that. This person's going to take over and you're going to execute this and then do that, move this around. So I don't know if they're actually going to move on any of those plans or not. I'm sure that they're in place though. So United States carries out military strikes on Venezuela, captures President Nicholas Maduro. From the Daily Wire. Let me see. I don't know if they'll have anything new here. Actually, I'm interested in getting some of the on-the-ground videos in Venezuela, and I'm going to look for that here in a minute. Let's see. New private window. I have to do a private window so I can read the full article on Daily Wire. Oh, man, it's raining. Oh, snap. We got rain. It's nice, man. Here in Tampa Bay, we don't get rain very often this time of year. United States carries out military strikes on Venezuela, captures President Nicholas Maduro. 7 free articles remaining. United States carried out a large-scale military strike. Of course, we know that. The United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, Maduro. Caroline Leavitt's statement from President Donald J. Trump. That I did not catch. I was actually planning on taking a look at this on his True Social post, which I'm sure Caroline Leavitt's got the other ones. The United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicholas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Details to follow. There will be a news conference today at 11 a.m. in Mar-a-Lago. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And that does remind me, let me go over and grab Caroline. Let me see if she reposted anything else. From an hour ago, President Trump is a decisive and strong leader who does exactly what he says he's going to do. Okay, so that doesn't appear to be related, or does it? Oh, okay, yeah, it does. During his historic campaign in 2024, President Trump explicitly promised that he would work to demolish foreign drug cartels to keep our citizens safe, and that's exactly what he did today through an unprecedented display of speed, precision, and power. As the administration has been saying for months, Nicolas Maduro was not the legitimate president of Venezuela. He was the fugitive head of a narco-terrorist cartel who flooded the United States of America with deadly drugs and sent thousands of vicious illegal alien thugs to destabilize our country and harm its people. That's why Maduro was indicted in the United States and finally captured early this morning, where he will face the full weight of the American justice system. Joe Biden pathetically sat by and allowed our country to become a dumping ground for corrupt regimes in countries like Venezuela. Remember the caravans. President Trump will never allow that to happen again. That's what America First is all about. President Trump has no greater responsibility than to defend the safety and security of the American people and fearlessly advance our interests, and he will never waver in doing so. In his inaugural address, President Trump pledged that America would reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth. Promises made, promises kept. And line item number 10, stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. There you go. And she reposted this from Secretary Rubio. I hope people now understand the President of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you he's going to do something and address a problem, he means it. So this is from Secretary Rubio.
President of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, you know, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States, and the president addressed it. This is a president of action.
And there you have it. Wall to wall, rapid response 47. Okay, so these are all the different news outlets that were reporting. Oh, I mean, of course, this is huge news. This Trump addressing the nation after Nicholas Maduro, the dictator in Venezuela, was captured by U.S. forces. Like I said, I don't think that something like this has happened since Omar Gaddafi. Fox News. MS Now, News Nation, C-SPAN, Newsmax, not sure, War Room, what is that? America's Voice? Yeah, or Real America's Voice. Fox News, CNN, NBC News, ABC, Sky News, BBC News, Live Now. All right, yeah, I think that's Live Now from Fox or something like that, CNN. All right, yeah, we get the idea. President Trump holds the press conference. There's the image, Nicholas Maduro on board the USS Iwo Jima. I believe that's the first official image that they released. All right, so that's the one that I already read. PSA for anyone saying this was illegal. We already read that from JD Vance. Marco Rubio, Maduro is not the president of Venezuela, and his regime is not the legitimate government. Maduro is the head of a cartel de las soles, a narco-terror organization which has taken possession of a country, and he is under indictment for pushing drugs into the United States. That was back on July 27th of 2025. Damn near 10 million views for that one. AG Pam Bondi. Let's take a look at her chiming in on the situation. Nicholas Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. Nicholas Maduro has been charged with narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices against the United States. They will soon face the full wrath of the American justice on American soil in American courts. On behalf of the entire U.S. DOJ, I would like to thank President Trump for having the courage to demand accountability on behalf of the American people. And a huge thank you to our brave military who conducted the incredible and highly successful mission to capture these two alleged international narco traffickers. So yeah, they ain't going to be letting her go. I thought for a little bit, perhaps they arrested her because obviously she's the wife of Nicholas Maduro. I thought maybe they might grill her for a while, tons and tons of questions, and maybe eventually let her go. But no, it sounds like they're charging her with everything they're charging him with. Rapid response 47. President on Maduro. Has he offered anything? You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to F around with the United States. Oh, yeah, man. You remember this? This happened a few months. Oh, yeah. October 17th, 2025. I remember this. This is one of the rare times that Trump drops an F-bomb in front of the media. If not possibly, maybe even the first time. No, I don't think this is the first time. I've heard him drop the F-bomb at least a couple times in the past. But yeah, man, I definitely remember this.
Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What could we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Man. No, he doesn't. He did fuck around and he found out. And now he's in American custody. All right, statement for President Trump. Okay, we already got that one. Maybe that was his only true social post. I read somewhere that he posted more than once. All right, so now we're dipping back into January the 2nd. So looks like that's all we got from the White House press secretary at this time. Oh, you know what? I actually meant to look at Marco Rubio. see if he actually posted anything else. I want to check out Pete Hegseth's too. Probably sharing a lot of their own posts with others. Okay, so we already saw that 10 hours ago. Okay, so that's pretty much already saw everything already. And I'm assuming the same case is probably going to be with Pete Hegseth. Let's take a look. America first. Secretary Hegseth on Maduro. He effed around and he found out. It's just an 11-second clip.
Nicholas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around and he found out.
That he did. And look, I believe them. I believe President Trump and Pete Hegseth when they say that they've given him obscene amounts of chances to essentially stop what he's doing, step down, follow the right process of handing over his power to the rightful president of Venezuela, and he didn't even want to do that. So we had to go in and take care of business. So okay, so we got that. Saw that also. Okay, so he's reposting a lot of rapid response, which let me see if they posted anything in like the last half hour or so. 7 hours, 1 hour from, we already got that from the press secretary. Senator Jim Banks. Maduro turned Venezuela into a narco state, a drug cartel posing as a government and killing Americans. Let this be a warning to every narco-terrorist in the Western Hemisphere. President Trump is doing exactly what Americans elected him to do, protect America and keep our people safe. Dan Scavino Jr. Let's take a look at this.
Venga por mí. Aquí lo espero en Miraflores. No se tarde en llegar, cobarde.
I just got 3 things to say.
Uh-oh.
God bless our troops. God bless America.
Thunder.
And gentlemen, start your engine.
That's the footage that I'm going to look for here in a minute. More than just that. It's obviously one of the strikes in Venezuela. Okay, well, this video just got copyrighted for sure. I've only heard that song a billion times because I'm a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, and that's their official song of the Lightning. They always play that whenever they bring in the team. All right, Emmanuel Macron. The Venezuelan people are today rid of the dictatorship of Nicholas Maduro and can only rejoice at this. By seizing power and trampling on fundamental freedoms, Nicholas Maduro has dealt a grave blow to the dignity of his own people. The transition to come must be peaceful, democratic, and respectful to the will of the Venezuelan people. We hope that President Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia, elected in 2024, will be able to ensure this transition as quickly as possible. I'm currently meeting with our regional partners. France is fully mobilized and vigilant, particularly to ensure the safety of its nationals during these hours of uncertainty. So we've got the president of France chiming in on this. Rapid response reposted. And see, that's what I'm most curious to look for, is how other leaders are responding to this. Trump tells the Post that U.S. troops won't be in Venezuela if Maduro VP does what we want. We have a second wave. All right. I mean, look, boots on the ground. I think that's where I might agree that, Congress might have to get involved with that. But I get it. I get all the leaks. I get all the hyperpolarization. Democrats, anything that Trump wants to do, they just immediately take the opposite stance no matter what. So it's a problem. All right. I hope people now understand. Okay, so we already read that. We got that 3 hours ago. Okay, so these are some of the images during the operation. Okay, so this is on Donald J. Trump's True Social account. He was posting images of them watching the operation. I believe they're in Mar-a-Lago when this was happening. All right, man. And looks like maybe some more. There's another one. Colonel Cedric Layton retired. This was basically textbook from a purely military perspective. This was a very successful operation. This is on CNN.
This was basically textbook from that standpoint. Special operations forces like Delta Force who conduct these operations practice this quite a bit. And the fact that they did the planning only since December, as Elena was reporting, that is actually pretty remarkable, because a lot of these missions take a lot of time to prepare, a lot, when we look at the planning that went into
Iraq,
it took a lot of
time.
That took months. Panama took basically over a year with fits and starts. So that is the kind of thing that, when you look at, you have to say from a purely military perspective, this was a very successful operation.
There you go. Military operation, highly successful. Rep. Carlos, I'm personally thanking Trump for his actions. It's in America's interest to get rid of these narco-terrorists that have been killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. And got Speaker Mike Johnson. He's making a statement. I've spoken in the last several hours with Secretary Rubio and Secretary of War Hegseth, and the nation will hear from the president in his address at 11 a.m. Today's military action in Venezuela was a decisive and justified operation that will protect American lives. Nicholas Maduro is responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans after years of trafficking illegal drugs and violent cartel members into our country, crimes for which he'd been properly indicted in U.S. courts and an arrest warrant duly issued, and today he learned what accountability looks like. President Trump is putting American lives first, succeeding where others have failed, and under his leadership, the United States will no longer allow criminal regimes to profit from wreaking havoc and destruction on our country. The Trump administration is working to schedule briefings for members as Congress returns to Washington next week. Our brave military personnel who executed a precise, successful operation deserve our gratitude and congratulations. Again, that was from Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And this is the leader in the Senate, Leader John Thune. For years, Nicholas Maduro, the cartel he leads, and other cartels in Latin America have trafficked drugs into the United States, which have killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. President Trump's decisive action to disrupt the unacceptable status quo and apprehend Maduro through the execution of a valid Department of Justice warrant is an important first step to bring him to justice for the drug crimes for which he has been indicted in the United States. I am grateful for the brave men and women of our armed forces who carried out this necessary action. I spoke to Secretary Rubio early this morning, and I look forward to receiving further briefings from the administration on this operation as part of its comprehensive counter-narcotic strategy when the Senate returns to Washington next week. And not sure why are they still in a recess from the Christmas season? I mean, how many weeks did they get off? All right. Anyway, let's see if there's anything else that we got. All right, rapid response. I don't know why it took me back up to the top. Okay. Where are we at? 6 hours ago. I think at this point, it was like maybe about 12 hours ago at this point where everything just started flooding onto social media. Okay, we already got that from the Mexican president who was not happy. Okay, JD Vance. I think we already got this, right? The president offered multiple off-ramps, but was very clear throughout this process. The drug trafficking must stop and the stolen oil must be returned to the United States. Maduro is the newest person to find out that President Trump means what he says. Kudos to our brave special operations who pulled off a truly impressive operation. I don't know what they're talking about with stolen oil. Again, I'm ignorant to that. Maybe there was some deal that was struck with Venezuela years ago, and maybe they've not honored that deal. Maybe something going back to maybe the Obama era, maybe, or maybe even as far back as George W. Bush. I don't know. I do believe the Citgo gas stations were Venezuelan gas stations, at least so I've read. I remember those gas stations. They were all over the place when I was a kid. Back in the 90s and in the 2000s, there were Citgo, C-I-T-G-O, gas stations. That was Venezuelan gas. All right, so yeah, we already read that from A.G. Pambondi. Okay, maybe I'm ready to go back and try to see if I can find some of these videos on the ground. And let me hop back over here. An hour ago. All right, maybe I should just actually just search for it instead of just scrolling through. Not sure if this might return anything. Intense footage of a helicopter attack in Venezuela. Hopefully, I'm sure there's going to be some AI nonsense that people are posting. Let's see. Holy shit, man. Let's see. I mean, it seems legit. Probably was. Breaking Venezuela's activated anti-air defense first foot. Oh, give me a break, dude. That is kind of hilarious. Oh, wait, I didn't mean to bookmark that. Well, there you go. Venezuela air defense. All right. That's not exactly what I was hoping to find. Rare footage of U.S. RQ-170 Sentinel stealth drone returning to Puerto Rico after supporting Venezuela's strikes. Same drone used in the bin Laden raid, almost never seen in the wild, now confirmed operating out of AF South for Latin America ops. The tech behind Maduro's capture. Interesting. Well, that's how you know it's Puerto Rico. The roosters are calling. Raising hell at the ass crack of dawn. All right, just-in footage has been released of the jaw-dropping aftermath of America's overwhelming strikes on Venezuela. Armored vehicles and equipment absolutely decimated. Maduro and his wife captured alive. No American casualties or losses. LFG. All right, well, it's in rough shape. That's for damn sure. Rough shape. Raw footage of the bombing in U.S. invasion of Venezuela. Let's have a look at this. All right, let me see if I can, there we go. Yeah, the quality's terrible, but, you know, welcome to X. Damn, that's a lot of planes. I'm familiar with the word mierda. Also familiar with the word puto.
Mierda, marico, se prendió el peo en esta mierda, oyó.
Anyone who speaks Spanish in the comments, are they for this or against this? Sounds like they're using strongly worded language. I mean, look, these people live here. They got to know what they're bombing. Or they got to know, like, a rough idea, at least. I'm assuming maybe air base, military targets. All right, well, I think that's it. Well, another one went off. Okay, let's go to the next one. I mean, I'm assuming that's all blacked out here. This is probably all filled in city lights. Oh, shit. I didn't want that to happen. I don't know why it did that. It was weird. All right, let's go to the next one.
Se escuchan helicópteros. Son las 1:58 de la mañana.
Yeah, see, all out of power down there. There's all these buildings.
Están atacando el fuerte.
That's what Trump said. He said they cut the power for a lot of the city. How the hell do they do that? Maybe bomb one of the electric substations or something? That'd be my guess. Oh, wow, man, they flew right overhead. All right, next one. I think this is the last one. Damn, they're way up there.
Okay, levanta vaina.
Dude, that's got to be gut-wrenching to hear that in the middle of the night.
Pues llámame mamá. Vamos bien, Michi. Vamos bien.
Okay, all right, so that's that. I think I got all, yeah, I did. I got all 4 of those. Bookmark that. Christopher Berg's footage from helicopters over Venezuela show what appear to be a CH-47 Chinooks and MH-60 Blackhawks. Given available pictures, shapes are overall consistent with versions also flown by special operations units. Rocket strike may suggest presence of other types as well. Okay. I don't know if I saw that one. Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah. I already saw that one. Okay. Maybe I'll bookmark that too. Venezuela has had a lot of man pads, and I haven't seen any footage of a single one being fired last night. Either they didn't work, or the soldiers didn't think firing one was worth risking their life for the Maduro-led government. Maybe both. Very interesting. Yeah, and I'm sure that the U.S. military was worried about that, like any counter strikes happening on the ground. And I mean, if there was any retaliation in the moment, I mean, at least according to government officials, they didn't hit anything because they said none of our troops were killed. I think they reported a couple of injuries. There's been a clear message sent to, okay, that was back on December 10th, so I'm gonna skip over that one. Anyone who has a problem with Maduro being captured and brought to justice should review the following footage. Okay, so this is the video that I was talking about with the Bearcat vehicle that mowed down a whole bunch of people. Can't play it, but I will repost it if you want to take a look at it. There's a direct link to my profile in the description below if you want to take a look at that. Like I said, I don't think you have to be signed into X to be able to view stuff on there. So, if you want to have a look at that. Nah, bombing Venezuela feels like such an out-of-pocket thing to do. My prayers go out to the people of Venezuela. Live footage below. Not sure if that's live footage. It's only 5 seconds. Wow, man. Adios mio. Okay. That's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. Horrible footage coming out of Venezuela after the American takeover. Oh, I don't think we totally took over, but I get what he's doing here. As liberals with blue hair and nose rings sit in fury, millions of Venezuelan people take to the streets, celebrate their Independence Day. Next, keep an eye on Iran. They're next to be liberated. This one, however, won't be as clean. Yeah, I think going to war against Iran, I don't know, man. It sounds like a nightmare. So here we go. Here's one of the videos I was hoping to find. Celebration. Celebrate. Busting out the freaking Madonna. Honking the horns. Very happy. Very, very celebratory. Of course, there's no definitive way to know if this really truly was today when this video was posted. I mean, that's kind of problematic from time to time. I'm assuming it was. I'm assuming all these videos are going to be from today, like celebrations occurring. So the footage coming out of Venezuela is incredible. So I'll have a look at this. I don't think I saw that. Oh, snap, man. That's friggin' wild. Hovering. Is that where Maduro's at? Damn, dude, talk about high risk, man. We could fire an RPG at it from anywhere. Thank God they didn't. Holy shit, man, they're taking off, too. I'm gonna come back and get them later. Yeah, dude, this operation had to have taken, like, insane planning. And for none of this information to get leaked out is pretty incredible in this day and age. Number 1, video thread about a war in Venezuela with all the essential footage will be updated regularly. Okay, well, let's take a look. Probably, yeah, I already saw that one. This one, definitely. From far on the hills. You check out this one? No, I haven't seen this one yet. God, what a view. Like I said, all that darkness is probably completely lit on a regular night. Some of the power that they cut. Yeah, dude, they cut the power and then they started bombing.
Tengo el corazón a mil, pues.
Muriéndose.
Vamos a caminar, vamos.
All right. Bookmark that one. Low flying transport helicopters. Saw that one. Definitely saw that one. Oh, wait, hold on. So we've got community notes here. The video depicts U.S. military helicopters during a 2023 training exercise over Miami skyline, not the Venezuela operation. See what I say? You got to take a lot of these videos with a grain of salt. We don't know if they're really, truly as part of the operations that took place in Venezuela. That's why I was kind of scratching my head like, wait a minute. So they hovered a helicopter over this. I mean, Nicholas Maduro's not living in this building. So why would they drop a bunch of soldiers from a helicopter and then just take off like they're going to pick them up later? I don't know. It seemed a little sketch, but so there you go. At least that's the community notes, and they've got the link, NBC Miami, which seems or appears to show proof that this was not out of Venezuela, as this article was in 2023. Just waiting for the video to load, just to see if they show the same video or not. You know, looks like a different video. Okay, but maybe there might. Here we go. There's one. Here's one. Probably the same. It would have been nice if this article had that exact same video clip on here, though. I don't think that's gonna... Nah. Alright. Get out of that. And what else do they have? Okay, they got this from YouTube. 2 minutes. 2 years ago, Chinook helicopter military training drills in Miami over buildings at night. Yeah, that's gotta be the same. Gotta be the same thing. All right, well, I can check that one off the list at least. That one is not part of the operations in Venezuela. I think that was on the last post, though, wasn't it? Because I'm pretty sure oh, no, I didn't bookmark it. Okay, all right. I'm glad I didn't. So let's see what else they have on here. There's that one. Okay, from Rapid Response. Yeah, I already saw that one. Okay. You need to stop calling it a war. It was a 2-hour military action. It's not a war. The war in Venezuela. It appears the U.S. Army may invade Venezuela. Footage shows a V-150 Commando armored wheeled gun vehicles operated by the Venezuelan Army being deployed and spotted moving through the streets. Polymarket reacts. Really? Polymarket. Will the U.S. invade Venezuela by January 31st? 27% say yes. Okay, so that's not likely. At least not on Polymarket. People taking bets on if the U.S. invades Venezuela. Kind of hilarious. 3.4 million. March 31st, 2026. All right, 36% are betting that it's going to happen by March 31st, so doesn't look very likely. At least not according to those making bets on it. All right, so we saw that one. How about this one? Russia's buck failed and fell in an unequal fight. Footage of damaged equipment in Venezuela after U.S. strikes. According to available information, Venezuela had 12 Russian-made 9K 317E Buck M2E air defense systems in service. The contract dates back to 2015. During U.S. strikes, Venezuela's air defense systems did not open return fire. They were likely suppressed or destroyed in the very first wave. So there you go. Like all of those bombings that we were watching across the skyline, where they were hitting those strategic spots, that's probably what they were taking out. They were probably taking out the air defense system in Caracas. So let's have a look at this.
Y actualmente las reacciones internacionales son de completo agravio y estupor ante lo que está ocurriendo. Si estamos transmitiendo en vivo todavía, este es el punto del ataque en la base aérea de La Carlota. Podemos reportar
military intelligence. That's what we're using all those military satellites for. Seeing what they've got on the ground. When we move in, we can bomb them on our way through.
Ajá, ahí lo tenemos. Una unidad que fue destruida, en este caso,
took out a, well, not completely took out a bus. They had a few buses.
Y otra unidad de transporte civil. Es importante destacar.
So they obviously put this air defense vehicle in the middle of a parking lot, maybe trying to hide it around all these public buses. Footage of U.S. troops on the ground in Venezuela. Yeah, definitely, probably not going to be legit, I would assume. Because it happened overnight. And I'm assuming the only U.S. troops that set foot anywhere in Venezuela were at the, whatever they call it, presidential palace or what have you. U.S. RQ-170 stealth drone returning to Puerto Rico. We did see that. Video shows Venezuelan military vehicle. Oh, yeah. We saw that. Celebratory footage from Venezuela via live feed on TikTok. I just caught this live, literally dancing 3 hours ago. Guess we'll have a look. Man, they're blaring them horns. So it says it was at 9:09 a.m. It's not a date. But like I said, whenever these videos are coming out, it's probably from today. The celebratory videos. More footage of 160 SOAR active in Venezuela. I think I did. Yeah, we did see that. I don't know if I saw that one. Not sure. Not that you can see anything.
Papá, quédate tranquilo. Allá va uno. Se ve, no sé si se ve. Míralo allá donde se ve. Lo tapó ya la montaña. Están atacando. Eso creo que es la vaina de Delcy. La casa de Delcy Rodríguez.
Some dust. Looks like dust.
Allá están los helicópteros. ¿Lo ves?
Oh, yeah, I saw it up there at the top.
¿Cómo le disparan, weón? Venga por aquí.
Yikes, man. Holy shit. All right. Bookmark that. MH-47G belonging to the U.S. Army's 160th SOAR A. All right. Thunder spoon ring out. Puerto Lopez, Colombia. Smoke rose from the... Okay, that was back on December 30th. All right. Returning to Puerto Rico. December 30th. All right, here we go. Footage of night attack on Venezuela by the USA. This is... I was hoping to come across this one. That might be a power station. It's not, maybe electrical arcing or something. I don't know. It's like a faint sound of what sounds like an alarm. Maybe emergency vehicle. Yeah, not much to see there. Okay, that's something on the water. All right. Crazy. That one bookmarked. More footage of explosions across Venezuela's capital city. We saw this one, right? Because he cleans off the lens. Yeah, okay. All right, new footage reportedly shows one of the first rounds of U.S. strikes on Venezuela. Wait, what is 12 hours ago? I mean, these are not getting much attention at all. I just plugged in Venezuela footage and I'm just going through it.
Se está explotando una verga por allá. ¡Uy! ¡Nos están invadiendo! ¡Nos están invadiendo! Están bombardeando la base, mamá. ¡Jesús, vámonos!
All right. Grab that one. Footage of the massive explosion. Saw that. Footage from Caracas last night. 3 hours. Is it real? Is it not? Of course not. Whatever. Okay. Aftermath footage. A scorched military facility after massive U.S. airstrikes on Venezuela. We already see this? Oh, yeah, that's the one with, like, the buses around. All right. Clearing it out. U.S. ground force in Venezuela attacking Maduro's compound. Yeah, that's not going to be real. It was in the middle of the night. Ha ha ha. Yeah, very funny. All right, footage captures U.S. forces deploying into Caracas. Probably more of the same thing. Oh, maybe not. It's that night.
En serio, mi hermano, la vaina es en serio. Rumbo a Higuerote. Rumbo a Higuerote. La vaina no es mamadera de gallo. Escúchenme. Rumbo a Higuerote. Miren. Mira, la vaina es bien en serio. Mi gente. La vaina es en serio. La vaina no es mamadera de gallo. Papi, eso es rumbo a Higuerote. Escuchen. Escuchen que eso es para Higuerote.
All right, man. Another view. Insane video taken on the ground. Shows the extent of the helicopters flying over. That was already shown. Footage from Caracas this morning after sunrise, showing people appearing to celebrate Maduro's capture. Those who remember the Iraq War may also remember Iraqis cheering the U.S. overthrow of Saddam Hussein, but the cheering didn't last for long. Yeah, a lot of celebrating. If it's legit, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Okay, let's take a look. Footage verified and geolocated by CNN shows dozens of vehicles of people leaving Tijuana in southern Caracas, Venezuela.
Esa vaina, mira, mira. Está viendo. La gente, mira, mira, cómo está la gente, ¿ves? Una locura esta vaina. ¿Estás viendo? ¿Ah? Bueno, mira. La gente está como loca caminando, mira.
You see a lot of people out there too. Where did they say that was at the border? Oh no, leaving Fort Tijuana in southern Caracas, Venezuela. Let's see, defense intelligence footage shows that destroyed Venezuela BUKM2E. I believe we saw that one. Raw footage, Caracas. Trump posts a fortunate son edit on Truth Social featuring footage from the attacks. Okay. US military jets return to the base in Puerto Rico. Aerial footage. All right, so I think probably the aerial footage overnight probably saw pretty much all of it at this point. Celebrations erupting. Okay, yeah, I think we already saw that one. Change it up a little bit. Wait a minute, the mainstream media lied to us again? The people of Venezuela actually didn't like being ruled by a narco-terrorist? World Cup-style celebrations are erupting all across Venezuela at the moment. Congratulations to the people of Venezuela. Que Dios te bendiga. We're at a gas station. Seems fitting. All right. Oh, I already obviously saw that earlier. Gave it a like earlier. Massive crowds taken to the street of Venezuela to celebrate President Trump's capture of dictator Nicholas Maduro. Someone should show this to the Democrats and the corporate media. I did play this, but I don't know if I played that for this recording or if I watched this earlier when I first found out. I think I did already play this. American flag. See that? Got the American flag out. Hell yeah. God bless the USA. Millions of people are celebrating in the streets of Venezuela as news of the fall of Maduro spreads. Communism is dead. Look at that, man. That's reminiscent of what happened in Iraq with Saddam. Remember that? They were tearing down all his statues. The same thing with Maduro, man. Start ripping everything down. As the Western... Oh, here, let me grab that. The Western lefties fall over themselves, condemning an illegal invasion of Venezuela. This is the reaction of Venezuela. Thousands take to the streets to celebrate their liberation. Again, there's no definitive way to know if this happened today. Maybe this was like a World Cup kind of event. You know, it could be a number of things. Maybe this was like right before the election in 2024. I don't know, but I'm just going to take it for what it is. It just very well might be the results of Maduro getting captured. Probably is, really. I mean, the majority of the country voted against him. Damn, that's a lot of people. Something's moving in. Large, wide-scale celebrations. All right. It is here. Let me just check. It's been raining here for a while. I'm going to check. I never did get around to checking just to see. I can't have my phone near me. My phone it causes microphone problems with my stupid Bluetooth. I have to disable it, move my phone away. Wow, yeah, okay. It's raining. All right, so it ain't going to be raining for much longer. All right, I had to take a quick look. All right, so where am I going from here? Okay, where was that? It was in this tab. Here we go. Come celebrate with us. We love everybody because you, America, has loved us so much. Thank you, America. Venezuela is celebrating the capture of tyrant President Nicholas Maduro. Let's have a look.
Yes. Yeah, come celebrate with us. We love everybody because you, America, has loved us so much. So much. Thank you, America.
Edgar, thank you so much for sharing those sentiments. Guys, this is something...
Amen, that we have. God bless America. Twitter's changed the like button to celebrate the Trump success over to Nicolas Maduro. Finally did it. Tap heart to try it. Really? I don't know if I believe that. No, looks the same to me. It hasn't changed. All right. Nice try, though. Okay, so I did see that. And just another image of Maduro captured as he is. He's not wearing his tracksuit, though. So... is that AI or is it not? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah. Twitter changed the like button. No, it hasn't. Nope. At least not on my end, it hasn't. Why is it unacceptable? The people of Venezuela are celebrating hard today. They have never been so happy. They've waited over 25 years for this moment. Stop bitching. So it looks like we got a few videos to take a look at.
For all my Americans shitting on Trump for bombing Venezuela, let me tell you, I am Trump's #1 hater. I am also Venezuelan. And let me tell you, for all of you that are commenting on social media, oh my God, no war, we didn't sign for this. Oh my God, poor people, they must be so terrified. Let me tell you, every single Venezuelan that is not working for the government, the dictatorship that has been in place for more than 25 years, we are stoked. We are happy. Even the people that are currently still in Venezuela, everyone's happy about this. So can you please just educate yourself and stop spreading this bullshit narrative that, oh my God, poor people, like, they must be so scared. No, we're not scared. We've been waiting for this shit for 25 years. We've lost family members. We've escaped the country. We've had to leave everything behind to start over. Yes, some of us know Trump is a piece of shit, but sometimes you battle the devil with a bigger devil. So let him do what he needs to do, and then we can go back to shitting on him, okay?
All right. Well, you know, Trump's bad, but he's not that bad, right? He's not that bad. All right. And I'll take another look at... Or take
La veo muy emocionada llorando. ¿Cómo se siente? Cuéntanos por qué llora.
¡Qué felicidad! Tantos años esperar esto, Señor. Gracias, Señor. Ay, Dios mío, esta es una alegría inmensa. Gracias, Señor. Gracias al presidente de Estados Unidos. Yo lo estoy esperando hace años. Cómo he sufrido, cómo no han hecho daño, cómo han matado a mis hermanos. Ay, esto ha sido horrible, mira.
¿Cuántos años tiene usted aquí en los Estados Unidos? ¿Hace cuánto se fue de Venezuela?
Ay, tenemos aquí 8 años ya. 8 años porque nos mataron al hermano mayor y fue fuerte, hermano. Secuestraron a mis hermanos, eso fue fuerte. Y doy gracias a Dios por todo esto, porque ha sido fuerte.
You didn't notice this is in Miami.
¿Su nombre?
Yajaira.
¿De qué parte de Venezuela?
De Maracaibo.
De Maracaibo.
Maracaibo. Catatumbo lightning. You get a lot of lightning down there.
Toda esta emoción de los venezolanos, a los venezolanos que han sido el centro de atención de las noticias, tanto por lo que ocurre en Venezuela como por el éxodo de los venezolanos, los migrantes venezolanos.
Fuerza, que sí se puede, que tuvieran más fe, como yo tengo 27 años esperando esto, que sí se puede, que tengan esperanza de todo, que vamos a ser un país libre, próspero y que todos vamos a salir a disfrutar este momento.
Amen. So listen up, Democrats. The narrative doesn't seem to be working. Your propaganda don't seem to be working. But of course they're going to try, because the Democrats these days are just a hive mind. What they say, their followers just simply obey. Take off the Ukraine flag and put on the Venezuelan flag, and so on and so forth. You know, that's basically how they do things. The everyday card-carrying Democrats these days, they don't think for themselves. They got to operate like a hive mind. Okay, yeah, we saw that one. I already saw that one. All right, next one.
La captura de Nicholas Maduro.
Shit, that was loud. Okay. All right. Well, there's those. Be curious to play that video with what's her name? She's very anti-Trump, but she's very happy with what Trump did, though. So stop bitching, Democrats. People of Venezuela have taken to the streets to celebrate the toppling of the Maduro regime, free from tyranny at last. Rigged elections, corruption, you name it. Maduro has done it all. Juan Guaido won the last election, so I think he's the president now. Venezuela Libre, Caracas. Well, I'm still looking for the condemnation of what President Trump did. Where's all the anti-Trump protests? Where's all the American flags being set on fire? I'm not seeing anything, man. Like, what? Come on, Democrats, where are they? I don't give a flying F what any American has to say about Venezuela right now. I care what the people of Venezuela say. And since everyone I know in Venezuela, everyone rando I've come across are all universally celebrating, I'm going to celebrate with them. Venezuela es libre. And I'm kind of hesitant to play this because I don't know where that's going to go. Oh, okay, it's just a song. All right, the people of Venezuela take it to the streets to celebrate the capture of Nicholas Maduro. You won't see this on legacy media today. Oh, I'm sure you're not going to see any of this on mainstream media. No, what you're going to see most likely on CNN is a bunch of elected Democrats that are just going to sit there and complain about the evil orange man Cheeto who overstepped Congress and he's unilaterally acting like a dictator. That's all you're going to see on fucking CNN today. You're not going to see any of this. But maybe I'm wrong, you know. Yeah, there's going to be lots of this stuff. And this is just on the X platform. I'm sure TikTok's got tons and tons of videos all over Venezuela. Venezuelans are now on the streets with Jesus joy filled in their hearts, waving their national flags and celebrating the capture and end of Maduro's narco-terrorist regime. And have a look at this one. I want to see this camera that they got hoisted up. I want to see that footage. That 4K quality. Well, I'm not seeing anybody shaking their fists at the sky, stomping on the American flag. Not seeing any of this, Democrats. Where are they? Okay, another one. Thousands of Venezuelans go out in La Vega, a popular area of Caracas, to celebrate the fall of Nicholas Maduro and the victory of Edmundo Gonzalez. The eyes of the world are on Venezuela. I might just look at a couple more. I mean, I think we got the idea at this point. They're all over the place celebrating. They are thrilled, as they should be. It's absolutely a beautiful sight to see Venezuelans celebrate their freedom from the oppressive Maduro regime as they thank God for what has happened. I don't understand how anyone can watch what's happening in Venezuela and not be happy AF for these people. Long live freedom. He's over the moon.
Mi gente libre, libre. Agarraron a Maduro, se fueron ya. ¡Qué felicidad! Dios, gracias. Voy a ir para Los Roques, voy a ir para Margarita, voy a ir para mi tierra bella, Dios mío, Venezuela.
They know, man. They know they can only go uphill from here.
Gracias, Dios. Gracias, Señor.
Well, let's hope it does. Hope it's a peaceful transition, a quick transition.
Pero el régimen de Maduro se fue. Tío Donald Trump. Gracias, tío. Gracias, tío. Viva Venezuela, coño. Viva Venezuela, hermano.
All right. Well, and I think that there's an argument to be made that there might be a peaceful transition because it didn't seem that there was really any opposition at all with the military on the ground firing back at U.S. forces when we showed up. So, I mean, I'm sure they had the infrastructure in place. I know that we went through and we were bombing them after we cut the power and everything. So maybe they didn't have a chance to respond. Although I kind of find that hard to believe because Our ships have been right offshore of Venezuela for months at this point. We've been blowing up narco-trafficking vessels for months. And, I mean, we've had a strong military presence, like, right offshore from Venezuela. So for them to be just, like, completely caught off guard, I don't believe that for a second. So it just makes me wonder if the military is going to stand down and they're not going to continue the regime without Maduro. But I guess only time will tell. Many Americans feel differently about what just happened in Venezuela, but for the people of Venezuela there and abroad, they are rejoicing and crying tears of joy, thanking President Trump for saving their home country. And yeah, we did see that from that lady in Miami. So I think I'm probably going to cut it here. I'm not sure what else to really look for, to be honest. Venezuelans cheer over Maduro's capture. And local 10 news. This is, I believe this is also in Miami.
I hope you have your coffee when I tell you this, but these are great news. All eyes on Venezuela. These are historical news. This is history in the making. I mean, my chest, it feels like it's gonna explode.
Yeah, I think we saw a clip of him earlier.
I mean, before I was even born, there have been struggles. My family has been fighting for so many years before I was even here. They have told me about a time where democracy existed, and now I can finally look forward to that.
Okay, anyway, breaking news just announced. Venezuela people have taken to the streets to celebrate what could be the end of socialism after 25 years. They're chanting liberty, liberty, liberty. Liberty, liberty, liberty. Great day for the Venezuelan people. Celebrating. All right. Let me see if there's anything new happening in Times Square. 4 hours ago. Let me see about the latest. Mostly going to be posts, I imagine. Yeah, an hour. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, I already saw that one. It would seem a perfect time for Marxists to celebrate. Okay, then never mind. That was back in November. All right, whatever. All right, so after seeing all the celebrations, just jumping back to the following tab. Breaking news, Sove Corp announces relocation to Venezuela for an undisclosed area of business venture, the Leering Center in Minnesota. Job has already been done. Bag of Chandler confused. Okay, yeah, that's probably not going to be related. Again, this isn't all Venezuela content. It's just my regular feed. The truth is finally being said out loud. Venezuela isn't run by a legitimate president. It's occupied by a narco-terror regime, a cartel that seized a nation and pushed drugs straight into the United States. And here's the part no one wants to say. Democrats need those drugs flowing to sustain the massive overdose treatment, NGO, and bureaucracy economy they built around addiction. Yeah, I won't push back on that. Chaos is profitable. Order is not. Maduro knew this. Or Maduro. Anyway, that's why the Democrats are saying this strike was illegal. This isn't politics. It's organized crime with enablers. Yeah, that was actually pretty well said. Let's see. Bucking Fitches. With the actual big tooth, wonky-eyed. Okay, all right, whatever. Okay, here. This is from Kathy Hochul, governor of New York. This morning, I was briefed on the developments in Venezuela with Nicholas Maduro following President Trump's flagrant abuse of power by acting without congressional approval. I mean, why do you give a shit? You're not even in Congress. New York is home to a vibrant Venezuelan community, and I stand with families here and abroad in their hopes for a better, more stable future. Well, thanks to President Trump, they just might get that. While there are no credible threats to New York at this time, state police are coordinating with our partners in law enforcement to monitor the situation and keep New Yorkers safe. What, like there's going to be retaliation? Give me a break, dude. Our entire history is filled with lies and half-truths. Substack. Okay. Doesn't appear to be related. Venezuela people around the world are celebrating the removal of Maduro. One regime change. Okay. 3 hours ago. Long overdue. Prosperity is coming for the people of Venezuela from Elon Musk. 200,000 likes almost. Full moon. Yeah, by the way, the full moon's today. Yep, this will 100% happen. I suppose any minute now, left-wing loons will be on a corner beating on pots and pans with some dude playing drums on a 5-gallon bucket chanting, "We stand with Maduro." Yeah, of course. Well, I'm sure that there is some useful idiots that the Democrats have full control over that are going to try to organize and protest as quickly as they can to pretend to be, Maduro sympathizers. Mamdani, the commie, makes New York more dangerous for its Jewish population. Okay. Yeah, he undid or overturned executive orders that Mayor Eric Adams had signed to help protect the Jewish community in New York City, and he did that on day one. It was like one of the very first things that Mamdani did as mayor. He overturned a lot of those executive orders that were offering protections to Jewish communities in New York. Because the ongoing Gaza from the river to the sea and all that bullshit. Rachel Maddow, she's having a total meltdown because President Trump just saved America from drug trafficking, illegals, and terrorists. Even better, gas prices will collapse thanks to the Venezuelan oil. Maddow was mad because Trump and America keep winning. This ought to be great.
In your heart of hearts, when you think about what the United States just did, I think there are very few Americans right now who have any idea why the United States did this. If this was about drug trafficking, then why did President Trump just pardon the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of sending hundreds of tons of drugs into the United States? If this was about something about the illegitimacy of Maduro's election, well, that's something that the U.S. is, decrying any other country policing. We just sanctioned Brazil for having tried to protect itself from a coup by its former president, Jair Bolsonaro. I mean, if it's about gangs, we had the president of El Salvador, who is believed by U.S. law enforcement to be very linked with the notorious gang MS-13, which has caused incredible damage in the hemisphere, including in the United States. He's invited into the Oval Office, and the president says that he's looking forward to sending homegrown Americans to that president's essentially, jungle concentration camps. So all of the purported explanations for what's happened here don't stand up to logical scrutiny. The president has never articulated a coherent rationale for having done this. This seems like Marco Rubio's dream, not Donald Trump's dream.
It's so hilarious how desperately they're trying to turn this into a bad thing. Like, dude, you are not on the winning side of this. But of course, Democrats, that's all they do. They just double down, double down, double down. And they're all pro-Maduro because of course they are. Because I think Democrats, they want exactly like the CCP. The CCP, they rule over China with an iron fist. And that's exactly what Democrats want. They look up to regimes like the CCP and Maduro's regime. Here it comes, connecting the dots. Turns out Democrats weren't just coordinating with NGOs on illegal immigration. They were doing it on elections too. Okay, that's not related. Let's see. The Democrats, when they found out about President Trump removing Maduro from office.
So, no matter how bad things may look, you just have to say to yourself, hey, it's not the end of the world. So.
Okay. Boom. El Salvador President Nayib Bukele pummels Dem Senator Chris Van Hollen, who opposes the arrest of Nicholas Maduro. So you just want to defend thugs. Van Hollen is the same guy who shared drinks with Abrego Garcia. He should resign now. All right. Ambassador Mike Huckabee, what does the crime network of Venezuela have to do with the Middle East? More than you realize, Hezbollah is embedded there and financed by Iran. Taking down Maduro is good news for the whole world, even half a world away. Well, yeah, I mean, they just seized an Iranian tanker that was leaving Venezuela. I believe it was full of Venezuelan oil, and the U.S. government seized it. That just happened, I don't even think it was even a couple of weeks ago. Hezbollah presence in Venezuela represents a threat to the national security of the U.S. This was way back in 2019. In the region in general, according to FDD, Hezbollah uses Venezuela to conduct illicit operations such as money laundering and drug trafficking. Well, well, well.
Analysts say Iran has established a presence in Venezuela through its proxy, the terrorist group Hezbollah, which they say has sent operatives to Venezuela.
It gives them access not just to a friendly country that has a similar ideological outlook of anti-Americanism. It allows them to conduct all sorts of illicit operations such as money laundering and drug trafficking.
Okay, well, you heard it there. You can't move America and disrespect our history and values. Okay. Wait, what about this? January 3rd, Buda Air ATR-72 overshot the runway while landing at Budapest Airport in Nepal. Okay, so that's... Well, hopefully they turned out okay. I mean, this isn't related at all. Holy crap, man. Okay, can't watch too much of it because if it gets graphic, you know how things go here on YouTube. Another Somali daycare. Okay, Somali daycare. I mean, that's something I would have liked to have. Actually, let me. How am I gonna do this? I think I'll just like it for now, because I don't want to steer too far away from what's going on in Minnesota too. At least with regard to my swamp episode that I do Monday through Friday. United States Air Force, 10 hours ago. F-22 Raptors. Straight out of the future, man. We've replaced rugged individualism with collectivism. The individual is nothing. The collective is everything. Yep. That's New York City's new mayor. He's all about collectivism. He's all about communism. Appreciate the shout out. Las Vegas shooting. Okay. Doesn't seem to be related. All right. Meanwhile, libs, how dare real Donald Trump do this to the people of Venezuela? People of Venezuela, full-on celebration. I noticed an American flag being waved. Grab that one. I'm going to note that since Secretary of War Pete Hegseth barred the media from the Pentagon, there were no leaks of this operation. Isn't that hilarious? Well, I don't think he necessarily barred them. He required them to adhere to a new set of rules in the Pentagon that the mainstream media, the press, is not allowed to just openly walk around the Pentagon and go anywhere that they want, because apparently they've been allowed to do that for years at this point. And Pete Hegseth set a new rule that the mainstream media, they cannot just willy-nilly walk around anywhere in the Pentagon that they want and interview anybody that they want. And the media got really mad at that. And basically, I think just about all of the mainstream media outlets, CNN, the whole 9 yards, they all handed over their press credentials to the Pentagon, and they did it in protest. And they are not allowed back in the Pentagon because they refused to sign that new sign on to the new set of rules that have been imposed by Secretary Pete Hegseth. So now there's a bunch of independent media journalists that are now involved with handling the Pentagon for the media, and as a result, look at that, no leaks. There's no leaks from the operation to get Maduro. Of course, this commie parasite supports narco-terrorist Maduro. No surprise here, which I read that at the beginning. I was briefed on this morning. This is such a bad thing. We've got thousands of Venezuelans living here. How dare they arrest their leader? The left are pissed about President Trump removing a dictator from power, but all celebrated when Charlie Kirk got assassinated. Let that sink in. Massive crowds take to the street. I believe I already saw that. Democratic members quickly denounced the operation as unlawful. They may want to review past cases, particularly the decision related to Noriega. Prosecution Rep. Jim McGovern, Democrat, Massachusetts, declared, without authorization from Congress and with the vast majority of Americans opposed to military action, Trump just launched an unjustified illegal strike on Venezuela. He says, we don't have enough money for health care for Americans, but somehow we have unlimited funds for war. Well, they just got approved, at least I know, for 2026. The military received $905 billion. And I'm sure they probably had just about that much in fiscal year 2025. Trump does not need congressional approval for this type of operation. Presidents, including Democratic presidents, have launched lethal attacks regularly against individuals. President Barack Obama killed an American citizen under this kill list policy. If Obama can vaporize an American citizen without even a criminal charge, Trump can capture a foreign citizen with a pending criminal indictment without prior congressional approval. And see, that's a whole nother thing. Like the U.S. government indicted Nicholas Maduro on a number of charges. So, you know, they were just, I guess that was just like a military form of like executing an arrest warrant, really. And I'm assuming they probably had the same thing issued on Maduro's wife because they took her too. Okay, let's see. I stand behind this lady. I support President Trump. Democrats have done nothing to improve anyone's lives but their own. Yeah, that sounds about right. I have one effing word, handcuffs. Okay. Oh, wow. The mayor of St. Paul, Minnesota. She's admitted to being an illegal alien, huh? I am illegal in this country. My parents are illegal in this country, too. And now the idiots in St. Paul voted me for mayor. Can't make that up. Let me give that one a like, because I probably want to talk about that later. Elon Musk is one of the greatest American heroes. Remember that he is naturalized American citizen. He came here legally, the right way, not to exploit American generosity, but to contribute, assimilate, and build. He's everything good about the nation he adopted. True that. British patriots stormed Leeds shopping center holding flags, demanding the removal of illegal aliens. Wow, man. See, that's another thing going on today that's being overshadowed by the Maduro arrest. FAFO. Water main break near Pearl St. in Lower Manhattan. Okay. Yeah, water main break. Okay. Grateful for tireless crews fixing a pipe burst. Okay, that's not related. Taxes. Boycott taxes. Yeah, because it's all being squandered by freaking Somalis. Good morning, Venezuela. Oh, did they take it down? They're punching at his crotch. Where have I seen that happen before? Oh yeah, in Iraq. That happened in Iraq with Saddam. He didn't declare war, jackass. Take a history class. Grok, how many other presidents have put boots on the ground in other countries without a declaration of war? Like I said, technically, boots had to be put on the ground in order to apprehend Maduro. So I guess there could be an argument for that. But like large scale, hundreds, thousands of boots on the ground, of course not. But I'd be curious to see what Grok's answer is on this, if it's up here. Here it is. Grok, historically, 43 out of 45 U.S. presidents have authorized military force, including ground troop deployments to foreign countries without a formal congressional declaration of war. The exceptions are Harrison and Taylor due to their brief terms. Examples include Truman in Korea and Reagan in Grenada. Well, there you go. I'm definitely going to repost that. Actually, I'll bookmark that too, for that matter. Actually, you know what? Well, all right, never mind. The White House is confirming U.S. military operations in Venezuela tonight. It's from Rep. Melanie Stansbury, a Democrat, of course. Let us be clear, these strikes are illegal. The president does not have the authority to declare war or undertake large-scale military operations without Congress. Congress must act to rein him in immediately. Again, 43 out of 45 U.S. presidents have done exactly what Trump did. So, whatever. And let's see. You think bombing a country and forcibly removing their leader isn't an act of war? If that's not an act of war, then what is? 43 out of 45. Okay, so that's still under that post. All right. Bookmark that. That was the one that the Grok answer was underneath. Democrats and their media puppets are losing it over the Venezuela strikes on Maduro narco-terrorists, suddenly screaming illegal after ignoring 2020 indictments. Tucker Carlson exposed this racket years ago. Venezuela Maduro isn't about freedom of the people of Venezuela. It's a narco state flooding our streets with poison, fueling overdoses that Democrats turn into NGO cash grabs while our kids die. They only cry when the revenue stream dries up. Watch how they really feel when order threatens their machine. Absolutely. That's why they're so anti-law and order under Trump, going into different cities like Memphis and New Orleans, and Democrats are screaming about it because they don't want order. They want chaos. If it bleeds, it leads. While Democrats rage over illegal strikes on Venezuela.
Would you like to know why every single Democrat in lockstep with their media amplifiers are screaming illegal about Venezuela's strike?
Yes.
About the U.S.'s strike on Venezuela? As if indictments that have existed since 2020 suddenly have vanished? This is a pattern, folks. They don't react to law. They react to disruption. What was disrupted was not sovereignty or norms. It was a revenue stream. Let me explain. Drugs moving north, bodies dropping in neighborhoods that look like mine, overdoses that fuel the NGO economy. The chaos isn't accidental, folks. It's by design. It's a system.
It is, 100%.
Remove the source of narcotics and the money dries up. There's no more chaos. There's no more ghetto, but Democrats...
Yeah, like also looking in Philadelphia, where all of those groups of fentanyl users are standing around like zombies hunched over. It's not just in Philly, it's in New York City, it's in Seattle, it's in all these blue cities all over the place where this is happening. They're doing nothing at all about it because they just keep allowing them to just keep taking these drugs and overdosing all the time, and it's freaking disgusting.
Goldman to Maxine Waters. They need ghettos. No drugs means no overdoses.
Yeah.
No overdoses means no grants. No
back to prosperity.
No endless conferences.
Back to building again.
Executive salaries wrapped up in the language of compassion. And none of that money ever reaches the mother burying her child.
Not to mention the $24 billion they spent on homelessness in California.
It never reaches them.
A lot of those are drug users.
True because I live in the aftermath. Not the press release. Not with CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC. I don't live in that world. I live on the ground in the ghetto. That is why their outrage is uniform. That's why you see
they're a hive mind.
Every Democrat from California to New York condemning the strike. That's
of course
why
they
there's
are.
no deviation. They don't care about the...
Yeah, because if Trump did go to Congress, which he clearly didn't have to do because virtually every president in office, except for the two that were briefly in, did the same thing that Trump did. And they wanted him to go to Congress because, of course, they weren't going to approve it. I mean, not that Democrats have the majority in the House or in the Senate, but still, like the Senate wouldn't have approved it, I'm sure, because they need the 60-vote majority because of the filibuster. And, there's going to be some rhino Republicans, establishment Republicans that would vote with Democrats to say no. But again, not that Trump needed their authorization for this because Trump didn't unilaterally declare war. It wasn't a war. Yes, it was a military operation, but what they were really doing was executing an arrest warrant that was issued against Maduro back in 2020. That's really what it was all about.
Legality. They only want the chaos that serves them. They only care when the order threatens their machinery. Black death is not a tragedy to them. It's a funding mechanism.
Yeah, it's
when
necessary
people like
for them.
Overdose and die with needles still in our arms. That's a feature. That's what's supposed to happen. Do you understand me? Color does not matter inside the party either.
Well, and plus, like Republicans, they freed the slaves, they broke the chains of slavery, and Democrats worked for decades to put Black Americans back into slavery, but they couldn't do it physically. They had to do it with the mentality, the slavery mentality, with the welfare state, with all the entitlement programs. And there's no mistake that while putting people on Section 8 and putting them on welfare, they can't retain more than $2,000 worth of assets, because if they have more than $2,000 worth of assets, whether if it's a bank account or if it's a motor vehicle that's in their name, then they threaten to lose their benefits. So it's all by design. It's by design to keep them dirt poor, desperate, and depending on the government, namely run by local Democrats and, of course, also Democrats in federal government.
Explicatives, and they're nothing more than glorified gatekeepers. Very well-paid gatekeepers, I might add. They're paid to keep you in the plantation. Picking cotton. That's exactly what they want you to do. So, like I said,
it's slavery of the mind.
White Democrats, they're all the same. It doesn't matter. But the utility does. The dead bodies keep the pipeline flowing. Stability breaks it. So they condemn not because something was wrong, but because something was profitable and it was stopped by President Trump. That's the design. That's what they need. That's why they're furious.
Of course it is. Yeah, you put that quite well. All right, so I think I might change things up a little bit and check out CNN's profile. But first, media says Lloyd Austin is qualified to be Secretary of Defense. Botched Afghan withdrawal, 13 troops dead. Media said Pete Hegseth was unqualified to be Secretary of War. He gave us the destruction of the Iran nuclear program and captured Maduro without a single U.S. casualty. And I'm still haven't seen whether or not if there were any casualties on the ground in Venezuela. Did anybody die in Venezuela even? I don't think anybody did. At least it hadn't been reported, at least not to my knowledge. So let me take a look. Actually, I did not exactly want to do that. Okay, let's go over here and do this. I want to see what CNN is posting with regard to this on their profile. A plane carrying captured Venezuelan President Nicholas Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, has arrived at Stewart Air National Guard Base in New York. Is this going to be a video or an article? Probably an article. Maduro has arrived in a New York military base. All right. Has arrived at Stewart Air National Guard Base in New York. He's expected to face drugs and weapons charges in Manhattan federal court next week. So, you're going to haul him in front of the judge next week. U.S. Department of Justice unsealed a new indictment today against Maduro along with his wife and son. Oh, yeah, the couple, they were dragged from their bedroom during a large-scale operation by the U.S. military in Caracas overnight. Now, I guess that would beg the question, how many guards did Maduro have stationed around? Were they briefed with any intelligence, recommending that they not be in the area at such and such time? I seriously doubt they did that. But did they kill any of his guards trying to get to Maduro? Because you would think, with Maduro having guards, they probably would have defended with deadly force. So... no word on that exactly. I'm not sure if we will ever hear about that or not. Major U.S. airlines cancel flights out of the Caribbean after a strike in Venezuela. Okay. Wait, so that was it, right? It's very short and simple. 6 newer posts, huh? Is that... Okay, Maduro and wife still on the ground at New York military base. Well, duh. I mean, they're going to remain in New York. I mean, I don't know what they're waiting on. For them to be transported to jail, perhaps? Venezuela political opposition in touch with governments around the world. Okay. Yeah, we already heard from France. Apparently Ecuador, Panama, Paraguay, Argentina. So that would be interesting to hear what Javier Milei, president of Argentina, let me see if what statement he might have made. I mean, I can take a pretty good guess as to what he said. Totally in support of President Trump's actions in executing the arrest warrant against Maduro. Great Argentine scam that was earlier. Freedom advances. Long live freedom, damn it. All right, 10 hours ago, 33 minutes ago. Okay. Always on the right side of history. Damn, he's got 353,000 posts. Man, just doesn't quit. Posting constantly. Here we go. It means the fall of a dictator's regime. Yeah, it's all going to be in Spanish. Any of the videos, I imagine. Venezuela GDP per capita fell 70% since 2013. Today, at the same level as 80 years ago. 8 million exiles. Tragic. What? Look at that. BPI per capita is down to, what is this, 4,000? Yeah, about 4,000 and was that 1942? Then it went all the way up to 18,484. Or is that 18.484? Maybe 18.484, 18,000. And then it dropped all the way back down to where it was. Yeah, 80 years ago, as he said. Okay, so let me go back to CNN. See if there's anything else. Maduro seen being escorted off the plane by more than a dozen federal agents. Okie dokie. Confirming he is in U.S. custody. With Maduro captured and Delcy Rodriguez without defined alliances, what options does Chavismo have left? Venezuelans queue for groceries and supplies as uncertainty looms without Maduro. Yeah, things are going to be really interesting in Venezuela in the coming days.
You wish to enter the
Oh, give me a break. Wait, they're going to make us watch and oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, I think this ad is a minute long. Are you kidding? Just hours after Venezuelan President Nicholas Maduro was taken by U.S. forces today, residents in Caracas headed to the store. Oh, okay, here we go. Get the sound back. Very, 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 very quiet.
You wish to enter the tourney.
Oh, good grief. Oh, okay, it was built into the video. Had I known that, I would have just skipped it. Long lines, man. But in Venezuela, thanks to socialism, they're used to long lines. Long lines for the ATMs, long lines for bread. If bread even exists in Venezuela, probably does, you know.
Para poder entrar, pero no está abierta.
All right, lots of lines, lots of uncertainty. Aside from lines at stores, videos obtained by CNN showed streets were mostly empty and quiet around the city. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez has demanded the immediate release of Maduro and his wife, who were dragged from their bedroom overnight during a large-scale U.S. military operation. Well, how come your military didn't do anything? Makes you wonder whose side they might be on. Venezuela's vice president describes Maduro capture as a kidnapping in violation of international law. Well, not really, because we had an arrest warrant issued against him back in 2020. Venezuela, let's see, the immediate release. Of course, CNN's they're gonna report extensively on that, man. Look at all this reporting they have with regard to that. Maduro has arrived, New York military base. Okay, saw that. Schumer says he had some contact with Trump administration, but has not been briefed on Venezuela operation. Yeah, because they didn't want your fucking leaks. They didn't want you leaking it, which of course he would have done. Chuck Schumer. Criticizing for not seeking congressional authorization before the attack. Look, we just learned, and it's according to Grok, so it's not, the gospel truth, but supposedly 43 out of 45 presidents did exactly what Trump did. They used the military for operations without congressional approval. So I would say there's kind of a precedent that's already been set before Trump even became president the first time. Her state is home to a vibrant Venezuelan community. Governor Kathy Hochul, she stands with families here and abroad in her hopes for a better, more stable future. Okay, well, if you stand with the families here, then you must fully support what Trump did then. Because the vast majority of people from Venezuela, they are anti-Maduro. International leaders respond to U.S. capture of Maduro. Okay. All right, so where was this? Let me go back to this CNN profile. And then maybe after this, I'll check out MSNBC, maybe some ABC News. Holds a news conference after the U.S. strike on Venezuela. Venezuela's Maduro and his wife were dragged from their bedroom by U.S. forces during a raid that led to their capture, sources say. 13 hours ago, flew them out of the country after striking Caracas. Well, I don't believe that they struck any buildings. It looked like they just struck those like anti-aircraft vehicles that were on the ground. Looks like that's all they really took out. Explosions rock Venezuela. Carrying out military aggression. All right, so what's the most recent one? What are some of the comments? Are they pro-CNN, anti-CNN, pro-Trump, anti-Trump? A huge salute to the special forces and federal agents who made this flight possible from Caracas to New York in less than a day. Incredible efficiency. This is what peace through strength looks like in action. Millions of Venezuelans are celebrating freedom from communist oppression. Viva America. Viva President Trump. You think it's funny to kidnap the president of a country? I kidnapped his wife, too. All right, Jason Springer. U.S. captures Maduro. Oh, they're all crying. All the communists. All the American communists. They're all upset. All of America and the people of Venezuela thank the greatest president of our lifetime. Don't seem to be too pro-CNN down here in the comment section. For my next trick, I'll make the Democrats defend Maduro. Yeah, really. This pic just taken. Haha. CIA Serbia was strongly advised to hold off on any TS and X post during the op, including the mustache one, sir. Regimes collapse quietly at the end. Flights don't lie. Would you stop saying that Maduro was arrested or captured? Neither things are real. He was kidnapped. He can't be captured when we are not at war with them. He can't be arrested as the U.S. doesn't have jurisdiction in Venezuela. He would be arrested if the Venezuelan gov... Yeah, ... Yeah, that's it. You didn't want to finish your statement, stuffy cat. Okie dokie. Yeah, the U.S. government indicted him. He shouldn't have been shipping drugs up to the United States. The capture and transfer of Nicholas Maduro to face federal charges in New York underscores the critical need to enforce accountability for narcoterrorism and state-sponsored criminal enterprises. Southern District of New York indictment unsealed today details Maduro's alleged weaponization of Venezuela's institutions to flood U.S. cities with cocaine, directly fueling the fentanyl crisis that's devastated American communities. This isn't about regime change. It's about applying the rule of law to a leader who turned his country into a cartel state. The operation exposes the rot of global corruption networks and reaffirms that no foreign official is above justice when threatening U.S. sovereignty. Now the focus must shift to dismantling the entire apparatus, seizing illicit assets, prosecuting co-conspirators, and ensuring Venezuela's oil wealth benefits its people, not criminal syndicates. Yeah, because once upon a time when it did benefit the people, you could pull right up to a gas station in Venezuela, didn't have to pay a dime. You just put the gas pump into your nozzle and fill her up, put it back into the slot, and off you go. Let's see. Interesting. What happens next procedurally? Captured. NYC just got a new, very unexpected visitor. Not familiar with that. Maybe somebody might find that funny. Give him the Noriega treatment. Make Venezuela great again. Most covert drug smuggling operation in history. The whole world is watching. Shame, shame. Looks like the guest list for the UN General Assembly just got a very unexpected +1. I wonder if they brought their own catering or if Stewart Air Force Base has a robust extradition-themed menu. USA hasn't won a war since we fought ourselves in the Civil War, so let's start another. Yeah, okay. Obviously not true, but... wait, so is this real or just another stunt? Actually, is this right for a sitting president? Let's go, Maduro. Okay. Venezuelans in Doral, Florida cheer, parade, and celebrate while CNN and media rip Trump. Exposed again, CNN. What does this mean for the Venezuelans? His heart is filled with regret. Put him in with Diddy. All right, so I think we got that. Check out some more comments. Probably more of the same. Just like the Democrats. Love Venezuelan communist drug lords at corrupt daycare leering centers. Time to make Venezuela America's permanent territory and harvest its vast oil reserves to flood the market with cheap energy while erasing socialism from the region forever. Okay. What about Edmundo GU and Maria Corina? Oh, yeah, Machado. I don't know. Well, apparently they're the rightful... Well, he was technically elected, but he was elected really kind of by proxy with Maria Corina Machado because she was banned from running for president. So she had him run instead. At least that's my understanding. So this got 6 comments and 1 like. Venezuelan people own everything in their boundaries. U.S. can help steer them into a democratic process to rule their own. And someone said, no. Houston, we have an idiot. You won't even effing look after Puerto Rico, you effing dumb seas. Not familiar with that. Peru-based troll. Go F yourself. Yeah, it's funny. Like the leftists, they don't seem to really reply directly to a post by CNN. Instead, they just dig into like the pro-Trump comments and then they just attack them down there. All right, whatever. They look so happy without Maduro. What a time to be alive. The U.S. held a 4-hour No Kings protest in Venezuela. Just look at it this way, liberals. Yeah, really. Good point. Venezuela thanks Trump. Goodbye, Maduro. And we saw that, the statue. Imagine being on the left and opposing this. Moment of freedom has arrived. Of course, it wouldn't be complete without the emotional music. Hope for Venezuela. They purport to support this, people literally dancing in the street with joy. Liberalism is a mental disease. Well, modern liberalism, progressivism, is a mental disease. At least they turned it into one. All we needed was a new president. His grandparents knew what it felt like to be free. Yep. The left wants to get him released to put back into power again. Our left, of course. All right. Of course, that's the post from that video. Or at least, from this video. All right, so that's CNN, I guess. And you do MSNBC. MSNBC Daily. Is that it? Where's MSNBC? There's just MSNBC Daily? I guess, but not really, because it doesn't have the news badge. It doesn't have that gold badge. Where the hell's MSNBC? Did they change their name or something? MS Now. All right, well, I'm confused. MSN. What about MSDNC? No. Okay. ABC News. Maybe they shut off. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all if they shut down their X account and they just moved everything over to Blue Sky. That's probably what really happened with MSNBC. Not surprising in the least if that ended up happening. ABC News. 10 minutes, 40 minutes. Holidays. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez addressed the nation on state television for the first time since President Nicholas Maduro's removal and demanded his release. Rodriguez also slammed the U.S. for its early morning strike. Well, of course, ABC News is going to report on this.
Yeah, the Venezuelan vice president addressed the country on state television and demanded the release of Maduro, saying that he is the only president of Venezuela, demanding his release and that of his wife as well. So that is really significant because during the press conference,
it's so significant, says ABC.
Reporters, including an answer to one of my questions, that she's essentially willing to do whatever Washington wants, whatever the U.S. thinks is necessary to make Venezuela great again. The president saying verbatim that she had a long conversation with Marco, as in Marco Rubio, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. He added that she was gracious, but she doesn't have a choice. We're going to have to get this done right. That is in stark contrast with the vice president demanding for the immediate release of the Venezuelan president, Maduro. Now, look, this also comes as there are big questions about what the president meant by the U.S. will be running Venezuela. Is the U.S. confident that they can work with what's left of Maduro's regime, including the vice president? Trump has not clearly endorsed the opposition party. So when the president tells me that Hegseth and Rubio are going to be working with a team of people in Venezuela to run the country, unclear who exactly the president is pointing to.
All right, well, guess we'll just have to wait and see. Clearly, the military did little, if anything whatsoever, to try to protect Maduro from being apprehended. Venezuelan president, arrived in New York. Vantor satellite image shows damage to military buildings and equipment at Fuerte Tiona in Caracas after President Trump said the U.S. carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and said President Maduro and his wife were captured. There's a couple of images of the aftermath. And that looks like that parking lot with the buses. And we saw on the ground video of that. And another one. Damn, that one was leveled. Okay. So what else do they got? Wisconsin judge, not related. The aircraft is touchdown. Stewart Airport in Orange County, New York. The full Wolf Moon Supermoon sets behind the Statue of Liberty as sun rises on Saturday. Let's see. General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, provided a very detailed account of how the U.S. military's mission to apprehend Nicholas Maduro and his wife took place early Saturday morning. Here are the highlights. And that's on an article. Video obtained by ABC News shows massive fire expanding at Higuerote Airport after President Trump says the U.S. carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela. Not sure if I saw this video or not. I don't think I did. Yeah, big fire. All right. Supposedly that's at the airport. And, oh wait, here, hold on. Demands Maduro's return, vows to defend the great homeland. Live updates. I don't know if they'll actually have the video on there or not. I think they might. Maybe they will. Or maybe not. This is live. They got this live. I'd be surprised if the military allowed them to film all of that live. Okay, whatever. Apparently not. U.S. attack sparks some protests. Maduro lands in New York. U.S. Venezuela live updates. Key headlines. I already clicked on that. Where is it? They're not showing it. Okay. Details of the operation emerge. Here it is. U.S. attack sparks some protests. Some protests were reported in the U.S. and other countries following the attack. New York City's Times Square crowds mustered with signs urging the U.S. to stay out of Venezuela. Dude, you cannot tell me that these are not paid freaking actors. They all have the same signs. Like, where did they get all these signs just out of nowhere from? They just showed up organically, and they all seem to have, like, signs that were printed from the same printing machine. I mean, it's just pathetic, man. I guarantee every one of these people are paid by leftist organizations. 100%, no doubt in my mind. People are protesting against the U.S. strikes on Venezuela and the capture of Venezuela President Nicholas Maduro. And probably not a single one of them are Venezuelan, not a single one. During an anti-war rally in Times Square. Yeah, okay. Are they clashing with the actual real Venezuelans that are out there celebrating the capture of Maduro? Let's see. Lands in New York. Demands Maduro's return. It's not a video. It's just going to be an article or a statement. Let me go back. Where was that other one? Okay, so some of the highlights. Take a look. What he ate inside the meticulously planned operation to capture Maduro. Here are the highlights. The mission was called Operation Absolute Resolve. Kane said that more than 150 aircraft were involved, including fighter aircraft, bombers, surveillance aircraft, intelligence aircraft, and helicopters. He said the entire joint force was involved in the mission. The Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, the Space Force, and intelligence agencies. The aircraft involved, F-35s, F-A-18s, EA-18s, and F-22s. Man, they even sent the Raptors up, huh? B-1 bombers, also unmanned aircraft, and E-2 Hawkeyes. So the aircraft took off from 20 different bases on land and at sea, and that support aircraft were involved as well. And let's see what this image is. U.S. Air Force F-35 Lightning II fighter jets taxi on the tarmac at the former Roosevelt Roads Naval Air Base. Okay. Apparently that was taken today. President Trump gave the order to undertake the mission at 10:46 p.m. Friday night. You said the president's message of good luck and Godspeed was communicated to the entire force. The extraction force that captured Maduro and his wife included law enforcement. Yeah, because I'm assuming that they executed a warrant. And maybe not. Maybe that might not be like the right terminology, but they may have had law enforcement in that official capacity. You know, you're under arrest for, or you know, we have a warrant. United States government has a warrant for your arrest for whatever, narcoterrorism and so on. The helicopters carrying the force flew at an altitude of 100 feet above the water as they approached Venezuela, probably trying to stay off the radar. As they came near, air defense systems were disabled to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters to Maduro's compound. All right, helicopters arrived at the compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Time, 2:01 a.m. local time. Upon arrival, they came under fire and responded in self-defense with overwhelming force, Kane said. Oh, yeah, so definitely Maduro's dudes were definitely killed. Of the helicopters, one of the helicopters was hit but remained flyable. Maduro and his wife were taken into custody by Justice Department officials, assisted by incredible U.S. military forces with no loss of life, Kane said. He did not provide any details of any injured Americans. When the helicopters left the compound, they were protected by fighter aircraft and drones that provided suppressive fire. The extraction force was over water at 3:39 a.m. Eastern Time. Damn, man, that was kind of a long operation. It was like, what, 2 hours? Or, yeah, Eastern Time. So, yeah, that was like 2.5 hours. Yeah, 2.5 hours. Maduro and wife were then taken to the USS Iwo Jima. Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, in a call to state TV Saturday morning, said that innocent people had died, but gave no specifics and didn't address during a later speech. Kane said the mission was meticulously planned and the culmination of months of planning and rehearsals. We think we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, we rehearse again and again, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes, we can deliver overwhelming force at the time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world, he said. Again, that's General Kane. The military worked closely with U.S. intelligence agencies, the CIA, the NGE, and the NSA. We watched, we prepared, we remained patient and professional, said Kane. U.S. intelligence knew Maduro's pattern of life, where he moved, lived, traveled, ate, and worked. The mission was ready in early December, waiting for the right day to maximize the element of surprise. There you go. So yeah, man, they've been sitting and waiting since early December for the right day. And then just last night, very early this morning, as of this recording, they pulled the trigger and they got it done. So yeah, man, just like sitting and wait for a month for that to happen. All right. Let me see if there's anything else. Should I go back up to the top? Let's see what else might be happening. Mass celebrations are underway in Venezuela. American liberals are devastated and outraged. It's impossible to take the Democrat Party seriously, of course. Let's see. The Trump administration. Okay, that was 19 hours. Of course, that's the Minnesota fraud. Ongoing. Oh, wait, hold on. When you are watching an air attack in Venezuela, but it's CNN. Wait for it. Okay, let's hear it.
And a little bit of chicken fried.
Wow. Okay.
Get 5 boneless wings for $1 with any handcrafted burger. Only at Applebee's.
That is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. All right. If Elon Musk had never stepped up and bought Twitter, I think I already read that, didn't I? Oh, no, I didn't. Well, that's not related anyway. After Eagle Man, get rid of the IRS to stop going after hardworking taxpayers. Moment of freedom has arrived. I already saw that. Somalians writing bad checks, huh? Counterfeit checks. Park that for later. Democrats need to wake the heck up and realize that they are wrong. Venezuelans are happy now that they are free. Democrats, we condemn U.S. strikes on Venezuela. Meanwhile, Venezuelans, of course. Yeah, Democrats, where's the anger? Where's the outrage? Where's the fury that they stole their beloved president? Young man from Venezuela sent a message to liberals. Even if you don't like Trump or whatever, we are happy. We're free. Do not try to take our happiness and our only hope after 26 years.
Okay? God bless y'all. God bless y'all, guys. If you're so scared or like concerned about our country, thank you for the army. Pray for us then, instead of trying to destroy our only hope and happiness right now. Yeah, if you really care about us. Okay?
Yeah, but Democrats don't care.
Just think about the people.
Good grief, 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
All
Thank you so much, everyone. Do you know what? I'm gonna hop off and I'm gonna go cry and hug my family here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm happy right now. You know? And if you ask any other Venezuelan right now, they're gonna tell you that we are happy. Even if you don't like Donald Trump or not. Even if we don't want Donald Trump or whatever. We are happy. Calvin, thank you, brother. We are happy. We are happy. We're free. And if you are concerned for us, and if you're like, oh my gosh, you guys are screwed, Donald Trump is going to take you guys, whatever, pray for us then. I encourage you to do it. And do not just try to take our happiness and our only hope after 26 years. you know. Elvin, thank you so much, guys. Wraith, true, he said, not gonna pray for your ignorance.
Oh, wow.
God bless you, brother. God bless you. I hope you...
What an
I
asshole.
wish you never leave what we lived back in my country.
Yeah, no shit.
Ever in your life. I hope you don't have to see any family members dying for not having power, electricity, or medicines in a hospital. Okay? God bless you. I hope you don't have to go like through that ever in your life. Ever, ever, ever.
Yeah, dude was probably just a scumbag troll.
Okay?
Wow, man. Yeah, just Democrats should take his advice. The nasty Italian, all of you morons calling Trump a dictator and an illegitimate president who needs to be removed from office are now criticizing Trump because he removed an illegitimate president who was a dictator from office. Yeah, sounds about right. Strongly agree. Use of force by America against Venezuela is justified. Strongly agree, disagree. Chinese officials. Yeah. President of Mexico. Italian crown prince. Or Iranian. I was like, what? Italian? Iranian crown prince sends a message to Ayatollah. Okay, whatever. Not related. Ignores 47 daycares. Yeah, I covered that yesterday. Viva Trump. Maduro. Oh, yeah, I saw that. I played that earlier. I remember that. They're on Israel.
Ahora los racistas y supremacistas del sionismo hoy quieren acabar con el pueblo palestino. Y digo más, quieren acabar con todo el pueblo árabe, con todo el pueblo musulmán. Han sembrado una ideología del odio, de la racia. La han sembrado durante 75 años con el apoyo de Occidente. Atención, mundo bueno, que me escucha. Atención,
what's up with all these dictators and their mustaches?
De los Estados Unidos, de Europa y del mundo. Han sembrado una ideología más peligrosa que la nazi. Primero contra el pueblo palestino. Racia, exterminio.
Oh, that's rich. Calling freaking Israelis or Nazism.
Los pueblos árabes, todos los pueblos musulmanes. Y después quieran venir por nosotros, los cristianos, los católicos. Paremos al tiempo el genocidio. Paremos a tiempo.
Let's stop the genocide. What the hell is Venezuela going to do?
Contra el amado y pueblo palestino.
Except ship a bunch of Venezuelan oil to Iran, right? That's probably really all he can do. I agree Venezuela is freer than New York City right now. Probably. Don't let the gaslighting, fake news, and fear-mongering Democrats fool you. Venezuela is now freer than New York City. What's up with this freaking music, man? It's annoying. Oh yeah, it was only 8 seconds. Just a message. Soon, Greenland. Yeah. Guys, what kind of diesel is this? All right. To all the American Jews who voted for Mamdani, shame on you. Mamdani is a libtard clown. Fox News. Mamdani strongly condemns Trump's capture of Venezuelan leader Maduro. Yeah, of course he does, because he's a communist. Communists like communists. Strongly condemns Trump's capture. Live coverage. U.S. forces take Venezuela's Maduro into custody. I think we already got that. New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani on Saturday said he was briefed on plans to imprison Venezuelan leader. I mean, like, what does he think that he's going to have the authority to make them not do that? Not in my state. No, dude, you're a freaking rink-a-dink mayor of the largest city in America, I might add, of course. So, you know, it's not exactly a little pissant position. Anyway, Venezuelan leader and his wife in New York City calling their capture an act of war and a violation of federal and international law. Okay, well, why don't you point to it? If it's such a violation of federal and international law, then give us the, chapter and verse. Tell us exactly where it is. President Trump announced the couple's capture in a large-scale strike. Let's see, tied to the Venezuelan regime in the Caribbean Sea and Eastern Pacific. Venezuelan government said in a statement the attack was carried out to seize the country's oil and minerals and was an attempt to impose a colonial war to destroy the Republican form of government and force a regime change in alliance with the fascist oligarchy. Yeah, but like old dude said just a little bit ago, it's not a regime change. I mean, the Venezuelan people already voted for who they want to be president, and it wasn't Maduro. All they're doing is just kicking his ass out because he's not the legitimate president. Mamdani, a Democratic socialist, inaugurated on New Year's Day, said during a news conference Saturday he discussed the matter with Trump on the phone, pushing back on the commander-in-chief's decision. Yeah, I would have loved to hear what Trump's response to him for that. You're like, dude, you're a pissant mayor. Fuck off. You know, go run New York. You know, go do what you're supposed to do. You know, leave the big boy strategies to me. Go home to mommy. All right, anyway, I called the president and spoke with him directly to register my opposition to this act and make it clear it was an opposition based on being opposed to a pursuit of regime change. You really think that Trump actually talked to Mamdani? I somehow doubt that. I think Trump probably had bigger things going on than to hear Mamdani crying and complaining about his best bud getting quote-unquote kidnapped. My focus is their safety and the safety of New Yorker, and my administration will continue to monitor the situation and issue relevant guidance. Wrote on the post, which I already read all that earlier at the beginning of the video. Both Maduro and Mamdani believe in redistributing wealth downward, with Mamdani focused on taxing the wealthy and corporations to fund public services, and Maduro redistributing wealth through oil revenues and state control of resources. So in other words, if you refuse to work, it sounds like New York City might be the place for you. Mamdani also campaigned on public-run housing, childcare, transit, city-owned grocery stores, similar to Maduro's policies of state-run food distribution, healthcare, and housing, which were all complete and utter, just outright failures in Venezuela. A lot of people starved in Venezuela. A lot of people had no medical care. However, Venezuelan socialism involves nationalization and central control, which led to an economic collapse and authoritarian drift. Mamdani's office did not immediately respond, of course. I mean, I would pose that to Mamdani. Like, you know, Venezuela socialism, you know, they nationalized, they seized the means of production, they seized the means of everything. And so how the hell do you explain that the average Venezuelan makes $40,000 a month, but it costs $30,000 to buy a fucking hot dog? How do you explain that? How is that giving all the money from the wealthy down to the poor? You know, how did that cause such a catastrophe? It's almost as if it doesn't work. All right, moving on. Pete Hegseth. Already read that. Yeah, we got new posts, but how long have I been going? Wow, 3.5 hours. I don't know. I can't really think of anything else to look for other than just scrolling through the feed. Probably saw everything, you know, that's happened for the most part. This was the capture of Nicholas Maduro. Nothing was coincidental. Nothing was improvised. Surgical operation in the early morning hours. Neutralization of strategic targets. Total control of the airspace and direct extraction of the dictator. No American casualties. Absolute superiority. The regime collapsed from within. Venezuela awoke at a historic turning point. Chavismo was weeping. The world is watching. History marches on.
Donald Trump como capturó a Nicolás Maduro. Eran las 2:40 de la madrugada del 3 de enero cuando el silencio de Caracas se rompió. Los radares venezolanos detectan objetos moviéndose a gran velocidad. Minutos después, misiles de precisión impactan puntos estratégicos, radares, comunicaciones y pistas aéreas. No es un ataque masivo, es quirúrgico. A las 3:05 de la mañana, helicópteros militares aparecen volando bajo, usando la oscuridad para evitar ser detectados. Al mismo tiempo, fuerzas especiales se desplazan por tierra hacia un complejo previamente vigilado durante meses. El objetivo es uno solo: capturar vivo al presidente. A las 3:27 de la mañana, el perímetro está asegurado. No hay enfrentamiento prolongado. La operación dura menos de 20 minutos. Maduro es localizado, reducido y escoltado fuera del lugar. Minutos después, un helicóptero despega rumbo al Mar Caribe. A las 4:10 de la mañana, un avión militar abandona el espacio aéreo venezolano. La misión ha terminado antes del amanecer. Horas después, el mundo despierta con una noticia que sacude la política internacional.
All right, well, there you go. A little bit of an animation of what, at least in their opinion, as to what the operation looked like. General Mike Flynn, everyone paying attention yet? The world just changed course. It's not simply about energy, but also about access and control. The Panama Canal must be controlled by the United States. The Caribbean and all the key straits in and out of the Gulf of America must be controlled by the United States. The financial markets and global wealth must be controlled by the United States. Access to beachfront property that Venezuela afforded to Russia, China, Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, nasty drug cartels must be controlled by the United States. Guess what? That just happened without the loss of one soldier. And I'm not familiar with this publication. This is absolutely insane. Venezuela currently has 303 billion barrels of crude oil reserves, which Trump says the U.S. now controls. Oil prices are trading at $57 a barrel, making Venezuela's total reserves worth $17.3 trillion. Even if the U.S. sells this oil for half the market rate, that's still $8.7 trillion. In other words, in 12 hours, the U.S. has gained control of oil reserves worth more than the entire GDP of all countries in the world, aside from the U.S. and China. That's 4 times larger than the GDP of Japan. Most people do not realize how much the world just changed. Oil markets will react to this news for the first time on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. The next few days will be critical. All right. That's half of our national debt. Yeah, it is, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if that's going to rightfully belong to the United States no matter what. I mean, I've got questions with that. I mean, wouldn't that oil, shouldn't it belong to, the rightful nation of Venezuela, the sovereign nation of Venezuela, once they get their government reinstalled and back to where it should have been 25, 27 years ago. I mean, I don't think that's right for the U.S. to come in and just, acquire all of Venezuela's oil without, allowing Venezuela to have it themselves. I mean, it's their oil. All right. So that was an interesting post. Oh, wait, what's this all about? Dysgenic shitlibs look the same everywhere. Message from Dublin is clear. USA out of Venezuela. They have nothing else better to do. Probably more just either paid actors or just brain dead rabble. Good. Corrupt judges with partisan agendas don't belong anywhere near the bench. Yeah, has to do with, what is that? Resigning as Milwaukee County judge. Felony obstruction conviction. Yikes. I crashed the paid protester meeting for no war with Venezuela in New York City. This protest was completely bought and paid for. Just watch. I'm telling you, man, it's all bought and paid for. Those counter protesters to the liberation of Venezuela, every single one of them is getting paid. They're probably getting paid like, I don't know, $100 each, $150 each. They passed out all the signs that looked exactly the same, just had slightly different words on them. It's too easy, man. It's way too easy to notice.
They're just against the
Of course they are.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you so much. Bless you. Thank you. Hey, Manolo, how you doing? My name is Nate. Nice to meet you. I'm good. How are you?
Leader of paid protesting in New York. Hilarious.
Can I ask why?
Why are you here, dude? We know who you are. What, you think we don't know who you are? Asshole.
Forum, you got $20 million from Roy Neville Singham to protest. Can I ask why you don't want to speak with me right now?
Oh, uh-oh.
Do you deny that you got
You don't want to say anything now, do you? How much do those glasses cost, dude? Did those cost $3,000 for those glasses?
You don't deny
Probably. That? No, they cost $5,000.
How are you spending that $20 million to protest? I know you're paid.
You're just gonna stand here and look like a stupid ass?
On the payroll?
No comment.
Oh, David, what's up, man? I didn't recognize you. Hey, you're back, buddy. How you doing? $20 million to paid protest. Won't deny it. Won't deny it. Because it's a fact.
You can't make this shit up, people. You can't make this shit up. Because it's exactly what he's there doing. Exactly. It's too easy. No more margaritas for you. You don't see me out here defending you or Maduro for that matter, but I know the rule of law is a difficult concept for someone who calls himself the world's coolest dictator. I don't know. Those sons of 1,000 bitches who cry over the U.S. military intervention in Venezuela never said a word when the regime ran over students with their tanks. Again, I can't show it, but I did repost it. You can check it out on my profile. Description below, or the link is below. I just read Mayor Zoran Mamdani's statement on Venezuela. He should be ashamed of himself. He does not represent us. Venezuelans are happy today. There's nothing to condemn except him standing with Maduro, who will be rightfully tried and convicted in New York City. Absolutely. Yeah, who knew the Berlin Wall was actually built to keep all the warmth of collectivism safe inside? Large groups. Oh, here we go. This was an hour ago. Large groups of Venezuelans have arrived outside the federal courthouse in Manhattan to celebrate the arrest of Nicholas Maduro. This comes after NYC Mayor Kami Mamdani demanded Maduro's release. Ain't happening. Here we go. Here's a video. New York City. I knew the crowds were going to get bigger. Just not in Times Square, I guess. Happy New Year. I almost guarantee you're not going to see that on the mainstream news, but you're going to see those pro-Maduro protesters. You're definitely going to see that on CNN. You see a lot of that. Look at all the pushback against Donald Trump's regime. Trump said all fraud regarding 2020 election being stolen will be out to the public by February. I don't think people realize the impact Maduro and this country had with their corruption and foreign interference via Smartmatic and voting machines. Buckle up. All right. MAGA Saturday, Venezuelans celebrate with Maduro. In cuffs, Russia, water versus vodka. Okay, yeah, right. Sorry, commies. Miami just got a whole lot more red. Yeah, they did vote a Democrat for mayor, which was kind of comical.
Outside of the restaurant there, a very popular place. Aaron, talk to us about some of the conversations that you've been having there on the ground.
Well, you're going to see how things have been developing throughout this report. I want you to really pay attention to the cars that have been driving by. They're really honking in support, and they're seeing the large gathering of people with Cuban flags, with Venezuelan flags out here. And then as we see by, the people in the crowd, there are a lot of Trump hats, Make America Great hats as well. Sir, you just said yes.
Oh, yeah.
Please tell me what you're feeling right now.
Right now, I feel very emotional because this is something beautiful for my parents. They've been here since 1959, and I feel very proud to be part of this. This, to me, is the most wonderful thing there is, really.
I kind of want to get to why you came here. What about this place was a gathering place?
Why? Because I am proud to be Cuban. I was born in the United States, but I am proud to be Cuban. I'm proud to be part of this culture. Growing up in this culture has been something special in my heart. And I really want Cuba to be free already,
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And we're hearing a lot of these stories, not just Venezuela.
All right. So that's that. And yeah, they're going to have a lot of support with Cubans because they want the same thing to happen in Cuba. They're probably crossing their fingers hoping that President Trump's going to overthrow the Cuban regime too. Although I don't know if I'd exactly hold my breath on that. That might be a little bit more complicated. Let's see. No one cares if this was for oil or not. No one cares if Congress approved this or not. No one cares at all. Trump freed 29 million people and changed the destiny of Latin America before most of the people bitching and moaning even woke up and brushed their teeth. This mission was perfectly executed. Quite well said. Let's see. All right. I think I'm probably going to cut it there. Let's see. President Trump's unauthorized military action in Venezuela is unconstitutional, dangerous, and an impeachable abuse of power. Congress alone has the authority to declare war, and Trump is once again ignoring the law to serve his own interests. My full statement. And, okay. All right, well, anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it there. So if you enjoyed the video, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll be dropping a new show on Monday for the Swamp, covering the politicians, bureaucrats, agencies happening in D.C. And also I post daily episodes on X, so feel free to comment there too if you like. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you're having a great weekend, and God bless America. And Venezuela, for that matter.